The story begins with a poor boy traveling to another world and becoming the son of a billionaire. However, this arrogant man decided to give up his billion-dollar inheritance and join the army under a false name for the sake of a mysterious woman. However, his father was furious when he found out and tried every means to have him sent back by the army. However, things turn out to be unexpected. Chapter 1. A super rich second generation. A cold and beautiful military girl kidnapped me. His name is Qin Luo. He traveled to this new world and changed from a poor boy to a super rich man with billions of assets. His daily task is to squander money endlessly, and people around him laugh at him for being a spendthrift who has accomplished nothing. Although his family is rich, many people look down on him. That day, when he was spending money like water in the bar, a dark shadow suddenly hit his Bugatti, catching him off guard. However, things were much more complicated than that. The black shadow turned out to be a mysterious woman who was being hunted, with a beauty that made people feel distressed. She forced her way into Qin Luo's car, put a cold knife against his neck, and ordered him to drive immediately. Qin Luo stepped on the accelerator while complaining. "I'm so unlucky that I have to pick up girls and end up with a knife on my neck." But what he didn't expect was that the woman was actually poisoned by spring poison and her life was in danger. Help? How could he, a rich second generation, cure diseases and save lives? But her beautiful face softened his heart, and the suddenly activated system forced him to complete the task. So he had to choose a path he had never thought of. In a remote grove, he finally rescued the woman. But he never expected that the woman who was originally poisoned and unconscious would become extremely vicious after waking up. She drew her knife and pointed it at Qin Luo again, her cold voice carrying murderous intent. "If you dare to reveal even a little bit about what happened tonight, I will turn you into a eunuch." He was sweating profusely and nodded in agreement, but he reluctantly asked, "You ruined my virginity, and you just walk away like that? Leave me your contact information, and we can talk about it." However, the woman threw down a stack of change, turned around, and left, leaving Qin Luo with a look of surprise. Looking at the change on the ground, he was furious. "You gave me only change? I will definitely get this back." He stared at the woman's receding back, and the flame of revenge burned in his heart. He must avenge this. Chapter 2. Are you a soldier? Who will lose the billions of assets? Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully completing the task. The system is officially turned on and is fusing and binding with the host. He was stunned and then ecstatic. He had been having a great time in the past 6 months, and now with the addition of the system, he was even more powerful. With the money power plus the superpower, he was now invincible. After the system was activated, he gained 2 abilities, Gene Enhancement and One Punch Man. Gene Enhancement greatly improved his physical fitness, reaching the level of an amateur athlete. One Punch Man allows him to punch with the power of One Punch Man, but it requires a 5-minute cooldown after use. Excited and eager to test his new ability, he walked to a big tree and punched it hard. With a bang, the trunk of the tree caved in and leaves fell to the ground. He looked at his fist in shock, not expecting it to be so powerful. However, when he threw 2 more punches, he found that it had no effect except pain. It turns out I can only throw 1 punch. He smiled bitterly, realizing that although this ability was powerful, he had to be very careful when using it. Just as he was immersed in the joy of his new ability, the system issued a new task. "Host, please join the troops." Qin Luo was stunned. He thought he could dominate the world with his superpowers and money, but he didn't expect the system to ask him to join the army. The system explained coldly. This system is designed to create unprecedented super soldiers. The host must join the troops, otherwise the system will automatically dissipate. He had no choice but to accept the mission. 5 days later, he was in a Rolls-Royce, speeding towards the military camp. He was both excited and nervous. He wanted to use his superpowers to show off his skills in the army, but he also regretted losing his luxurious life. "Have you arrived?" Qin Luo asked the housekeeper, Wang Rifa, impatiently. "I'll be there soon, young master." "Are you sure you don't want to discuss this with the old master? Giving up a $1 trillion fortune to join the army." "Shut up," Qin Luo interrupted him. "I'm defending my country. My dad should be proud of me." The car finally stopped at the entrance of the military camp. When Qin Luo got out of the car, he heard the neat slogans coming from inside, and his heart couldn't help but beat. Just as he was about to turn around and escape back to the car, several officers came up to him. "Commander Qi, this is my young master, Qin Luo." Wang Rifa introduced. Qi Shengli smiled and said, I'll leave him to you, Gao-kun. You must train him to the average level of new recruits within a month. Otherwise, he will have to be sent back. He heard this, but when he thought of the system's task and Shinran, he clenched his fists. 2 years was enough time for him to use his superpowers to sweep through the military camp and then return to his peak life with glory and Shinran. Dad, goodbye. Qin Luo looked at the helicopter flying in the sky in the distance, stuck out his tongue mischievously, and then strode into the military camp, full of fighting spirit. Shinran, wait. I will definitely make you look at me with new eyes. Chapter 3. New recruits? I hate people with connections the most. My son. Qin Luo, as Father Qin Jiaqing sat on the ground, looking at the camp and crying. Why are you so depressed? Dad has no ability, so I can only give you money. But I will give you whatever you want. So, why did you go to join the army? Master. Wang Rifa pulled him up, looked at the strange looks of the guards around him, and advised awkwardly. The young master doesn't want to do anything but join the army. If you do this, he will be embarrassed in there. Damn Wang Rifa. Qin Jiaqing was furious when he heard his voice. I asked you to take care of Xiao Luo, but you just sent him to the army to suffer. Do you want to replace him and inherit my property? Master, swear to God. Wang Rifa said helplessly. It was the young master who forced me to get him into the army. If I didn't do it, he threatened to commit suicide. And before you left, you said that no matter what the young master wanted to do, I must cooperate. Qin Jiaqing felt guilty and his face was full of confusion. Then why don't you let me see him for the last time? Maybe I can bring him back. Wang Rifa smiled bitterly. This is a military-restricted area. The troops did not allow you to fly over here. Otherwise, they would have shot you down. Qin Jiaqing was furious. Why did he join the army? Is it because he didn't have enough money? Or because you didn't take good care of him? Master, I almost take care of the young master like an ancestor. Wang Rifa sighed. He joined the army to pick up girls. Qin Jiaqing was stunned. The young master has never been interested in women, but now he suddenly finds someone he likes. I can't stop him, and I can't get through to you on the phone, so I have to do it. Qin Jiaqing looked towards the military camp, a trace of satisfaction on his face. Dating military beauties is really classy, just like me back then. Wang Rifa noticed that his expression had eased and immediately added, Master, I know that you don't want the young master to join the army because of your wife's matter, so I made special arrangements. Qin Jiaqing's eyes lit up. How is it arranged? The young master is spoiled. How can he be a soldier? I told Commander Qi to discipline him strictly and not to give you face and be stricter than others. Wang Rifa smiled complacently. He can't endure hardship, so he will be sent back naturally. Wang Rifa, you are amazing. Qin Jiaqing laughed. You are worthy of following me for so many years. The two were laughing happily when suddenly, the rumbling sound of a helicopter was heard outside the military camp. Qin Jiaqing's face changed. Oh my God, Dad is here. At the same time, at the recruit training corps, Captain Gao-kun was looking at Qin Luo seriously. You brought so many bags, are you planning to move? Qin Luo smiled flatteringly. Captain, I just arrived, so I brought some local specialties. He opened his bag, took out 2 packs of huazi and 2 bottles of Mao Dai, and handed them over. Captain, you're welcome. Please take care of me in the future. Bang! Gao-kun slapped the table and jumped up in anger. Put all these away. Qin Luo was bewildered, not understanding what he had done wrong. Gao-kun said coldly, This is the army, not a place for you to make connections. If you want others to respect you, you have to show your ability. If you give me gifts again, don't blame me for being rude. At this moment, the system prompt sounded suddenly. Congratulations to the host for completing the task and obtaining super imitation ability. Qin Luo was stunned, and then a little disappointed. Imitating others? What's the use of this? Gao-kun had already called the company commander Wu Ziyuan. Captain Wu, this is your company's new recruit, Qin Luo. Wu Ziyuan was shocked. Captain, is this a joke? The recruit training has already started for 2 months, and you're sending me new recruits at this time. Chapter 4, Do you dare to challenge my weakness? No, absolutely not. Wu Ziyuan shouted angrily. Whoever wants it can take it. Put it anywhere you want, I don't want it anyway. Bang! Gao-kun slapped the table fiercely and shouted angrily. Are you rebelling? This is the army, not the market. You can bargain as you please. Qin Luo smiled slightly, thinking that it had to be the regiment commander, who was so imposing. Unexpectedly, Wu Ziyuan also slapped the table. and Qin Luo was frightened again. How could this company commander be so bold? Captain, I will unconditionally execute correct orders. As for wrong orders, I have the right to question them. Wu Ziyuan said without giving in. The recruit company has already started for 2 months. If you force someone on me now, wouldn't that be harming me? Do we still want to get first place in the recruit company? The corner of Qin Luo's eye twitched slightly, and he thought to himself, you found a treasure, but you're not happy? You go out first. Gao Kun said coldly to Qin Luo. Qin Luo nodded, turned, and left. As soon as he closed the door, he heard Gao Kun roaring inside. Wu Zan, you are getting more and more presumptuous. I am your leader, not your father. How dare you question my orders? Wu Ziyuan took a deep breath and tried to suppress his anger. Captain, let's talk about the facts. Our company is now #1 in the recruit training regiment. You suddenly inserted someone with connections in. Isn't this trying to trip me up? What nonsense are you talking about? Gao Kun glared at him. That guy got in through connections, but since he joined the army, he did it to serve the motherland. What good intentions can someone with connections have? Wu Zun muttered in dissatisfaction. I hate people who use connections to get in through the back door the most. Gao Kun sighed helplessly and said seriously. Wu Zun, this is an order. You have 1 month to train him into a qualified soldier and make him pass the new recruit assessment. Otherwise, not only will he be sent back, but you and your company will also have to bear the consequences. Wu Ziyuan's face changed, and he realized that the leader was serious, so he had to bite the bullet and agree. Report to the leader. I will definitely complete the mission. Wu Ziyuan walked out of the office angrily, and Qin Luo followed closely behind him, his heart beating fast. This company commander is not a good person. We have to calm him down first. Bang! Wu Ziyuan suddenly stopped, and Qin Luo bumped into him without noticing. The company commander was almost knocked down. He turned back and glared at Qin Luo angrily. Don't you look at people when you walk? Sorry, I was only looking at the top and didn't pay attention to the bottom. Qin Luo responded indifferently, but he was laughing in his heart. Wu Ziyuan snorted coldly and said coldly, I don't care what connections you have to get in, but I hate those who use back doors and connections the most. I especially, extremely hate you. Qin Luo clenched his fists. A trace of anger flashed in his eyes. Captain, I also hate those who are prejudiced and define others at will. Wu Ziyuan was stunned. He didn't expect that this new recruit would dare to contradict him. He stared at Qin Luo and said coldly, You are very confident. Then tell me, are you a genius? There is only 1 month left. How can you pass the new recruit assessment? Qin Luo smiled faintly. I wasn't before, but now I am. It's rare to see one in a century. Wu Ziyuan was so angry that he almost vomited blood. He had never seen such an arrogant guy. He said coldly, Just wait. I will make you unforgettable for the rest of your life. Thank you, Captain. Qin Luo smiled and took out a card from his pocket and handed it to Wu Ziyuan. This is a small token of my appreciation. Please take care of me in the future. Wu Ziyuan looked down and almost fainted. It turned out to be a diamond gold card of the Rich Platinum Entertainment Club. He was so angry that he was shaking all over. This soldier who got in through the back door actually challenged me in this way. Chapter 5, Causeway Bay, the boss. Qin Luo. Wu Ziyuan jumped up in anger. Stand still. Qin Luo was stunned for a moment, and when he saw the card being slapped back on his chest, his eyes twitched fiercely. Wu Ziyuan roared. This is the army, not the society. Put away your tricks. Qin Luo shrugged helplessly, muttering to himself. It seems that people here really don't buy this. He followed Wu Ziyuan all the way to the barracks of the 9th Company, thinking to himself, since this method doesn't work, I can only rely on my own superpowers. Before arriving at the barracks, Wu Ziyuan ordered the guards to call the squad leaders. Soon, 10 squad leaders stood in front of him in a row. This is the new Qin Luo. Wu Ziyuan pointed at Qin Luo. He must catch up with the whole company's level within a month. Otherwise, all of us will be punished. The squad leaders' faces suddenly darkened, and they all stared at Qin Luo with dissatisfaction. Seeing this, Wu Ziyuan thought smugly. Now the whole company hates you. Let's see how you stay here. Since no one is willing to take him, Qin Luo, you make your own choice. Wu Ziyuan deliberately put Qin Luo in an awkward situation, and the squad leaders avoided his gaze, fearing that they would be called out. Qin Luo glanced around and stopped at the most evasive squad leader Chong Lei. He pointed at him and said, Let's pick him. Chong Lei's face turned pale instantly, and he cursed in his heart. I'm hiding like this, and you still choose me. He looked at Wu Ziyuan helplessly. Wu Ziyuan sneered and said, Chang Lei is the best squad leader in our company. This task is handed over to you. Chang Lei reluctantly accepted the order and walked into the barracks with Qin Luo with a wronged look on his face. As soon as he entered the door, Chang Lei said coldly, Qin Luo, I tell you, if you hold our class back, I will definitely not be polite. Yes, squad leader. Qin Luo nodded in agreement, but he was laughing secretly in his heart. When you see my performance, you will change your attitude. Chang Lei briefly introduced several people in the class, among whom Chung Haonan was the most eye-catching. He was a 1.9-meter tall man with dark skin and a burly figure, which made him look like a black bear spirit. Qin Luo smiled and nodded, but what he got was Chung Haonan's cold reply. New recruit, don't expect us to help you. After hearing this, Chang Lei said sternly, Chung Haonan, stop playing tricks on me. From now on, the whole class has the obligation to help Qin Luo improve. You must teach him everything he doesn't know. Chung Haonan and other squad members were obviously very reluctant, but they could only nod helplessly under the squad leader's order. Qin Luo smiled slightly and said to Chang Lei, Squad leader, don't worry, I won't hold you back. Chang Lei glared at him, but still said worriedly, I'm going to the company headquarters. You guys take him to get familiar with the environment first. Don't play tricks on me. As soon as Chang Lei left, everyone in the class returned to their cold expressions. Chung Haonan stared at Qin Luo coldly and said sarcastically, Who is your comrade in arms? You are a rookie who got in through the back door. Qin Luo smiled bitterly and shook his head. These people really regarded him as a veteran. However, he knew that as long as he showed his strength, these people would look at him with new eyes sooner or later. Chapter 6 My Punch is very powerful. Please bear with it. Qin Luo looked at these ugly people, feeling helpless. He was too lazy to pay attention to them. Anyway, in another month, he could get rid of them completely, so there was no need to bother with them. So he took the bag and walked towards an empty bed, but before he put down the bag, Chung Haonan's big feet stepped on the edge of the bed. What do you mean, Brother Haonan? Qin Luo frowned, with a hint of impatience in his tone. Chung Haonan stared at him condescendingly, his tone cold. Boy, do the veterans agree that you can sleep? The army has rules. You have to pay respects first. Qin Luo sneered, clearly not taking this set of rules seriously. What do you want to do? On the other side, Chang Lei walked into the company headquarters and said with a sad face, Instructor, I feel wronged. Kong Xiang took a sip of tea and put down the cup. Why are you feeling wronged? You were just unlucky. No one bullies you. Chang Lei said helplessly. Captain, I only have one last chance left. If you don't get promoted, I'll have to report back and go home. Now I have to lead a new recruit who is 2 months late. Let alone train him hard. It's hard to even complete the basic assessment. Wu Ziyuan patted his shoulder and said with a smile, Just try your best. Don't worry. No one will say anything if you were a little more ruthless. Chang Lei nodded with a bitter face. Captain, I'm really not polite then. Wu Ziyuan nodded. You can be as cruel as you want. I promise I won't say anything about you. At this time, all the squad leaders entered the company headquarters one after another. Wu Ziyuan glanced at everyone and said seriously, This year our 9th company is competing for the first place in the new recruits group, but a relative was forced in. The commander has issued a death order, and we must execute it, but I cannot let him bring down the entire company. The squad leaders immediately expressed their support. Wu Ziyuan continued, Chang Lei is responsible for training him. Everyone should urge him more and not let him sit idle. We must squeeze out his potential and make sure he doesn't fall behind. After the meeting, Kong Xiang smiled helplessly. You are pushing Qin Luo to the enemy of the entire company. Wu Van shrugged nonchalantly. The army is for fighting wars, not for supporting relatives and friends. At the same time, Qin Luo was besieged by Chung Haonan and other recruits. Chung Haonan said coldly, From today on, all the odd jobs are yours. Get out if you dare not obey. The anger in Qin Luo's eyes was instantly ignited. He had just been tricked by the regiment commander and the company commander, and now these new recruits wanted to bully him? He could no longer bear it and replied coldly, Do you really think you are Brother Haonan from Causeway Bay? Chung Haonan's face darkened and he was furious. How dare you scold me? Qin Luo did not give in. Why are you pretending to be the boss? We are all new recruits, and you only came here 2 months earlier than me. Why are you pretending to be so? Chung Haonan was furious and punched Qin Luo. Qin Luo stepped back subconsciously and dodged the punch, but the anger in his heart was burning more and more. Damn it, you are shameless. Qin Luo clenched his fists. A hint of cruelty flashed in his eyes. You asked for this. My punch is very powerful. Just bear with it. After saying that, Qin Luo swung his fist fiercely and punched Chung Haonan. Chapter 7, he's already been beaten to shit. So just let it go. If you know you're scared, just give in. Chung Haonan said proudly while shaking his fist. Don't you have money to do whatever you want? If you don't give in, I won't stop. Qin Luo leaned against the corner, looking at Chung Haonan's swinging fist. A hint of coldness flashed in his eyes. He took a deep breath, clenched his right fist, and his momentum changed instantly. One Punch Man's ability was activated instantly, and the power exploded in his right arm, and veins bulged. You want me to take action, right? Then I'll satisfy you. Qin Luo swung his fist violently, and even heard the sound of breaking wind in the air. He had already restrained his strength in this punch, but he knew that even so, this punch was enough to shock the whole audience. What are you doing? Suddenly, a shout came from the door. Everyone stood still in shock. Qin Luo's heart tightened, and his fist suddenly stopped in midair. The force of forcibly withdrawing it made his body surge. Although he tried his best to control it, his fist still hit Chung Haonan's stomach. Bang! Chung Haonan's face turned pale instantly, and he bent down. Then there was a thunderous fart and a foul stench. Squad leader Chong Lei walked in, frowned and scanned everyone. His eyes finally fell on Qin Luo. What are you doing? Qin Luo's face flushed, and he quickly put down his fist, but the discomfort in his body made him unable to speak. Chong Lei stared at him coldly. Fighting in the army, do you want to be sent back? Qin Luo suppressed his physical discomfort, squeezed out a trace of innocent expression, and said weakly, Squad leader, do you think it was me who hit him, or he who hit me? Chung Haonan jumped up immediately. How shameless are you, kid? It's obviously... Shut up! Chong Lei shouted, then looked at Qin Luo. Go on. Qin Luo smiled bitterly and continued to pretend to be weak. Squad leader, they said I was a new recruit and asked me to wash their underwear and socks. I didn't want to, so they beat me. Chung Haonan was so angry that he stamped his feet. Nonsense. It's obvious that he wants to take us in as his younger brothers, and he even offers us money to buy us. Give money? Chong Lei frowned and looked at Qin Luo. Qin Luo shook his head with a look of grievance. Squad leader, can I beat them with my body? I won't recruit brothers for money. We are all comrades. Chung Haonan was anxious. Squad leader, he beat me so hard that I almost farted. Shut up, Chong Lei said coldly. You're bullying new recruits and you're wrongly accusing them? Everyone do push-ups. Don't even think about getting up until you finish them. Chung Haonan and the others were all stunned. They couldn't believe that Chong Lei was completely deceived by Qin Luo. Qin Luo looked at their frustrated expressions, feeling secretly proud. You want to play with me? I'll play with people's ancestors. He pretended to be weak and stood up straight, nodding and saying, Squad leader, I will study the housekeeping standards well and won't let you down again. In the following time, the monitor arranged for Qin Luo to practice folding the quilt. Zheng Qian demonstrated proudly, but Qin Luo activated his super imitation ability and remembered every detail firmly. After just a few minutes, Qin Luo had folded the quilt into a square shape, completely surpassing Zheng Qian's big bread level. Chong Lei looked at Qin Luo's quilt and couldn't help but step forward to check it. He found that Qin Luo's technique was extremely precise and neat, almost perfect. Okay. Qin Luo smiled and looked up at Zheng Qian, who was stunned. How about this stack of mine? Is it as good as yours? Chapter 8, I have never seen such a motivated soldier. Seeing Qin Luo's smug look, Zheng Qian was so angry that he almost exploded. The square quilt was like a slap on his big bread quilt. Chung Haonan and the others also widened their eyes at this moment, completely shocked by Qin Luo's craftsmanship. Squad leader, am I qualified? Qin Luo looked at Chong Lei with confidence in his tone. Chong Lei was so shocked by Qin Luo's quilt that he was speechless. Could a new recruit make this? He swallowed hard and nodded blankly. Count it, count it. Qin Luo smiled slightly, turned around, and began to fold the quilt again. Zheng Qian was stunned. You are still folding? Aren't you going to sleep? Qin Luo answered seriously. I will try to fold better, and I can't be worse than you. Chong Lei and other recruits were stunned. They didn't expect him to be so motivated. Chong Lei looked at the busy Qin Luo and smiled with appreciation. This kid doesn't seem that bad. The next morning, a shrill whistle sounded. And as everyone got out of bed, Chang Lei found that Qin Luo was already reciting the rules and regulations. Chang Lei asked in shock, "You started reciting so early?" Qin Luo smiled and said, "The assessment will be spot-checked. I don't want to cram at the last minute." Chang Lei had never seen such a motivated soldier before. He smiled and patted him on the shoulder. "Keep it up." The other recruits were so angry that they gnashed their teeth. They had been tormented enough last night, and today they were overwhelmed by Qin Luo's ambition. After running around the playground, everyone returned to the barracks to tidy up their affairs. Chung Haonan looked at Qin Luo and said sarcastically, "You boasted in front of the squad leader that you can recite the regulations? We veterans haven't even memorized them all yet." "That's right," Zheng Qian echoed. "Don't pretend in front of the squad leader. Seeking truth from facts is the right way." Chang Lei originally had some good feelings towards Qin Luo, but after hearing his words, he couldn't help but frown. "Qin Luo, you are really exaggerating." Qin Luo smiled slightly and said in a neither humble nor arrogant manner, "Squad leader, how about you randomly check a section and let me try?" Chapter 9, my dear, this boy is born to be a soldier. Chang Lei looked at Qin Luo's proud expression and felt mixed emotions. He didn't expect that this new recruit not only had his housekeeping in order, but also had a photographic memory of the regulations. Looking at Zheng Qian and Chung Haonan, who were gritting their teeth in anger, Chang Lei felt even more complicated. Qin Luo didn't care about the hostile eyes around him and still carried out every order confidently. He not only learned the 3 major steps very quickly, but also had almost no flaws. Chang Lei saw this and became more and more certain in his heart. This new recruit was definitely not an ordinary person. This kid is a natural-born soldier. Chang Lei couldn't hide his surprise. He knew that Qin Luo would definitely bring glory to their company. On the other hand, Chung Haonan and Zheng Qian were filled with anger and resentment. Originally, they wanted to teach Qin Luo a lesson through training, so that this unknown relative would know what the military rules were. Unexpectedly, in this contest, they became the crush party. "He's deliberately trying to step on us to get to the top." Chung Haonan gritted his teeth. "But we can't just give in like this." Zheng Qian looked at the squad leader, then at the confident Qin Luo, and secretly made up his mind. He had to find a way and not let Qin Luo succeed so easily. Qin Luo looked at their inner struggles, with the corners of his mouth slightly raised. He knew that he had begun to gain a foothold in this class. As long as he continued to maintain his position and won the first place among the recruits, he would be sure to win. Chang Lei's eyes moved between Qin Luo and other recruits. He knew that the competition would be more intense in the future. Qin Luo's joining was bound to cause a storm in this company, and he is willing to devote all his efforts to training this genius and make him the pride of the army. But Chung Haonan and the others had already ignited a burning fighting spirit in their hearts. They would never give in easily. Chapter 10, the squad leader wants to confront the company commander? Qin Luo was busy in the storage room. An old soldier, Chen Liang, came hurriedly and said, "Squad leader, isn't there a new soldier in your squad? His personal belongings haven't been confiscated yet." Chang Lei smiled brightly and looked back at Qin Luo, feeling extremely satisfied. This kid learned all the Q movements in less than a day, and his standard was comparable to that of an old soldier. He was simply a natural talent. "Squad leader Chen, wait a minute, I'll ask him to take the things to the storage room." Qin Luo ran over in response. His movements were so standard that Chen Liang's eyes widened. "He's only been here for a day? Squad leader, you are really capable." Chang Lei laughed even more happily, secretly proud in his heart. "Qin Luo, this kid is definitely not a burden. He is simply a sharp weapon for charging." However, Chang Lei's smile froze quickly. He caught a glimpse of several squad leaders sneaking towards the storage room, and his heart tightened. Oh no, are they going to deal with Qin Luo? He quickly ordered the other recruits. "Crawl around the playground 3 times. I'll be back soon." Then he ran towards the storage room. Chang Lei rushed over at the speed of a 100-meter sprint and shouted, "Qin Luo, the squad leader is here." However, when he slid to the door of the storage room, the scene in front of him stunned him. Several squad leaders stood together with Qin Luo with a smile on their faces, greeting and saying goodbye like they were relatives and friends. Chang Lei stared at them blankly, his mind at a loss. These people did not follow the company commander's orders, but instead became visitors. When the squad leaders saw Chang Lei coming, they all patted Qin Luo on the shoulder with a smile and said, "Practice well, and come to me if you have any questions." Watching the squad leaders go away, Chang Lei's doubts did not ease, but became heavier. He walked up to Qin Luo and asked seriously, "They didn't do anything to you, did they?" Qin Luo smiled lightly. "No, they just encouraged me to do my best." Chang Lei scratched his head in confusion, then smiled with satisfaction. "Okay, if you have any problems in the future, come to me first." Behind the wall in the distance, several squad leaders secretly took out cigarettes from their arms, tears almost falling. "Captain, how could this boy be a burden? He is simply a treasure." Chapter 11. The whole class is united in their determination to kill Qin Luo. Qin Luo came to the army with a bag full of gifts. He originally planned to keep a low profile, but he unexpectedly discovered that these squad leaders had a special liking for his gifts. As soon as squad leader Chen Liang entered the room, he saw Qin Luo with a cigarette in his hand. Squad leaders 3 and 5 immediately surrounded him with smiles on their faces. Although they said that Qin Luo was a new recruit and couldn't expect to get in through the back door, after receiving Qin Luo's gifts, their attitudes softened immediately, and they even took the initiative to express their willingness to encourage him. At first, squad leader Chang Lei had a neutral attitude towards Qin Luo. After all, Qin Luo was a soldier who came in through the back door. However, after seeing Qin Luo's outstanding performance in the 3 major tactical actions, Chang Lei's attitude completely changed. He increasingly felt that Qin Luo was a rare genius, and even began to regard Qin Luo as his favorite student. However, other recruits did not accept Qin Luo so easily. They felt that Qin Luo's arrival made them look incompetent, especially Chung Haonan and others. They had been together in the recruit company for 2 months and had already developed deep feelings for each other. Naturally, they were dissatisfied with Qin Luo's sudden appearance. During a training session, Chung Haonan accidentally dropped his hat and was punished by Chang Lei to do push-ups. He was filled with anger and secretly decided that when he had the chance, he would let Qin Luo know what the rules of veterans were. Zheng Qian came up with an idea at this time, planning to subdue Qin Luo by finding faults. Several people secretly discussed and decided to give Qin Luo a warning to ensure that this new recruit would not dare to show off again. In the days to come, Qin Luo will face real challenges. He will not only have to deal with rigorous training, but also face various tests from veterans. However, true masters often rise in adversity. It is worth looking forward to whether Qin Luo can successfully pass these tests and become the leader of the class. Chapter 12. Do you really have to fight me to the end? Qin Luo was panting and lying on the ground like a dead dog, but Chang Lei handed him a water bottle with a smile and praised his training as almost perfect. Although he was almost exhausted, Qin Luo had no choice but to continue training in order to complete the system tasks and gain superpowers. The squad leader is going to a meeting. Chung Haonan came over with a few new recruits, his eyes full of fire, and said with a dagger hidden in his smile that he wanted to train together with Qin Luo. Qin Luo knew they were here with bad intentions, but he was not afraid. Instead, he said provocatively that he would guide them. Chung Haonan was unhappy and kicked him hard, which aroused Qin Luo's anger. Qin Luo suddenly grabbed Zheng Qian's hand and slapped Chung Haonan hard on the face. Everyone was stunned. Chung Haonan was furious. As soon as he raised his fist, Qin Luo shouted, "He's hitting someone?" At this time, the platoon leader on duty came over and asked, "Who's hitting someone?" Qin Luo easily passed the blame to Zheng Qian. The platoon leader could not see the trick and had to punish them to do push-ups. Qin Luo squatted aside and counted, and mocked them for not being able to beat me. Chung Haonan gnashed his teeth in anger and threatened Qin Luo to admit his mistake. Qin Luo sneered, "I have never admitted my guilt." He then shouted again, "Platoon leader, he is lazy." Chung Haonan was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Qin Luo understood that this contest had just begun and no one would give up easily. D13 Zhang, after scaring me, you're now laughing at me? Bang! The monitor, Chang Lei, walked into the dormitory angrily and threw his hat on the bed, which frightened everyone so much that they stood up straight. He rushed straight towards Qin Luo, and the anger on his face seemed to burn through him. "Qin Luo," Chang Lei glared at him, his voice suppressing anger. "Why didn't you clean up the area you were responsible for?" Qin Luo looked bewildered. "Ah? I clearly didn't sweep up even a single leaf." "What?" Chang Lei roared, pointing at Qin Luo's nose. "There are several pieces of garbage in your area. Our class has been criticized by the company." The corner of Qin Luo's eye twitched, and he glanced at Chung Haonan beside him. The bastard had a smug smile on his face. And your shoes and water cup are in a mess. Because of you, our class will have to hand in the mobile red flag this week. Chang Lei wanted to continue scolding, but when he saw Qin Luo's face, he changed the subject. You have a high level of comprehension and learn things quickly, but soldiers need to develop in an all-round way and cannot neglect one aspect. Qin Luo straightened his chest. Yes. As soon as Chang Lei left, Cheng Haonan sneered. Just let it go like that? The squad leader didn't even punish me. It's really infuriating. The others were also filled with indignation, and the atmosphere suddenly became tense. Qin Luo looked around at them coldly. Are you deliberately trying to make trouble for me? Cheng Haonan approached with a smile. You should have evidence when you speak. Don't bite people like a mad dog. Yes, if you feel wronged, just cry out loud. Zheng Qian agreed with a smile. Qin Luo growled. You're looking for trouble, so I'll fight back. Cheng Haonan sneered. You like to show off, causing us to be scolded by the squad leader every day? You deserve it. It's my business if I train well, and it's your business if you get punished. Qin Luo said disdainfully. You want to avoid being punished? Fine, recognize me as your big brother, and I'll give you money to eat well and replenish your body. Zheng Qian snorted coldly. Let's go. Let him fend for himself. It was late at night, and soon after the lights were turned off, there were bursts of snoring in the dormitory. Qin Luo suddenly opened his eyes and quietly got up. He smiled and walked quietly to Cheng Haonan, and the idea of playing a prank came to his mind. Late at night in the camp, a cold wind blew, and Xie Hui and Kong Xiang, who were on sentry duty, were about to enter the dormitory to check. Suddenly, Xie Hui shouted, pointing at the new recruits in the dormitory. What are these people doing? They're all staring at me in the middle of the night. It's so scary. Kong Xiang was also startled, and his flashlight fell to the ground. He took a look and was immediately stunned. Everyone had an exaggerated smile painted on their face, and an eye painted on their eyelids, which looked like they were staring at people. Xie Hui was so angry. Are they laughing at me? Qin Luo looked at the furious staff officer Xie outside, and a sly smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. I told you to go against me. Just wait. This is just the beginning. Chapter 14. Why do you paint a sculpture on your face? 1 o'clock in the morning. All the new recruits lined up in front of the barracks. Wu Zuan walked around them several times with a flashlight in his hand, his eyes as sharp as an eagle's. Everyone held their breath and dared not move. Kong Xiang looked at the funny Ultraman on Hao Duoduo's face and almost laughed out loud. Then he looked at the kitty cat on Zheng Qian's face and the funny rocket on Cheng Haonan's face, and finally couldn't help laughing. Puff! Ha ha ha! A burst of laughter spread among the recruits. You have a big S on your face. You have a skull on your face. You have a big nine eye on your face. Shut up! Wu Zuan roared suddenly, scaring everyone into silence. Chang Lei looked at the various graffiti on the recruits' faces and wished he could find a hole to crawl into. Qin Luo, on the other hand, was delighted, knowing that his plan was half successful. Wu Ziyuan's face became increasingly gloomy. Singing an opera? Huh? Whose idea was this? It's not us, Captain. We are all victims. The recruits quickly protested their injustice. Cheng Haonan pointed at Qin Luo and shouted, It must be him. Qin Luo was acting like a drama queen and said aggrievedly, Captain, I went to sleep as soon as the lights were turned off, and I didn't know what happened at all. Chang Lei quickly stood up to testify. For Qin Luo, it's definitely not him. He fell asleep as soon as the lights were turned off. The recruits were stunned and began to wonder if they had wrongly accused Qin Luo, but Cheng Haonan was still unwilling to accept it. Impossible. It must be him. Before he could finish his words, Wu Zuan grabbed his ear and said, Shut up. Are you still accusing me? Then Wu Ziyuan gave a cold order. Except Qin Luo, everyone else will run 3 kilometers, and Cheng Haonan will run 5 kilometers. The recruits immediately complained bitterly and had no choice but to follow Chang Lei to the playground. Before leaving, they glared at Qin Luo fiercely, their eyes full of anger. Watching all this, Qin Luo was secretly proud. Fighting with me? You are far from it. The next day, after morning exercises, as soon as the new recruits started cleaning their assigned areas, they rushed over to surround Qin Luo and asked, Did you do this? Qin Luo smiled and said, Of course not. You were the ones who started it first. The atmosphere was tense. Suddenly, several squad leaders came over to support Qin Luo. You want to bully us again, right? No. The recruits were completely confused and didn't dare to cause any more trouble. They could only accept their fate and do extra work. Looking at their helpless backs, Qin Luo laughed secretly. You still want to play dirty? You are still very naive. Thus, the morning in the camp began with the complaints of the new recruits. Qin Luo's smile was hidden in the sunlight, and he was enjoying the victory triumphantly. Chapter 15. These guys want to fight me with bayonets? Hey, hurry up! The third squad leader shouted from afar. We are all watching here. Don't even think about being lazy. The second squad leader took out a cigarette from his pocket, lit it, and said with a smile, Cut them all neatly, or I will tell your squad leader to make you run another 3 kilometers. The new recruits were so scared that they quickly sped up their work, and the scissors made a loud clicking sound. The fifth squad leader laughed and said, If you bully the new comrades again, this will be your fate. How Duo was about to cry out of grievance. We didn't bully him. Shut up. Chung Haonan glared at him. This revenge must be avenged. The squad leader kicked me more than 20 times last night. Zheng Qian gritted his teeth and said, I was kicked more than a dozen times, and it still hurts when I squat down now. Then what do you think we should do? Li Dashing asked. Wei is not good enough, but that kid has the squad leader to protect him. Zheng Qian smiled cunningly. When isn't he shady? We are even more shady than him. At the same time, the squad leaders watched from a distance, smoking and chatting happily. The third squad leader said with satisfaction, Qin Luo is a good kid. He was bullied, but he didn't let us intervene. He is really united. And he's a good person. He even gave us cigarettes. The squad leader of the fifth squad agreed with a smile. Pay more attention to Qin Luo in the future, and don't let him get bullied again. The second squad leader said seriously, and several people nodded in unison. After breakfast, Chong Lei called Qin Luo aside and said earnestly, Don't take what happened last night to heart. Sergeant, I don't take it seriously. Qin Luo answered with a smile, but he already had a plan in mind. The other recruits were exhausted the whole morning, and they glared at Qin Luo angrily during the meal, as if he was the murderer of their father. Qin Luo thought helplessly, These people are really hard to deal with. You're not convinced, right? Then continue. After lunch, he returned to the dormitory, but was stunned. Where's my quilt? How come the sheets are gone? Chung Haonan walked over with a sly smile. Master, are you looking for a quilt? We saw that the weather was good, so we helped you dry it in the sun. Qin Luo was instantly furious. Drying quilts in the sun is a taboo for new soldiers. Once the quilt is exposed to the sun, the cotton will spread out and it will be difficult to fold it neatly. Chung Haonan said proudly. Also, we have washed all your dirty clothes. How about that? Is your apology sincere enough? Qin Luo stared at them, furious. You guys want to play, right? Then wait. As night fell and the lights were turned off, everyone stared at Qin Luo before going to sleep, fearing that he would play a prank again. Qin Luo pretended to fall asleep, laughing in his heart. Tonight, I will show you a real prank master. In the early morning, Kong Xiang and Staff Officer Xie arrived at the patrol squad. Kong Xiang patted his chest confidently. The soldiers in our company are the most obedient. Before he finished speaking, the flashlight shone into the dormitory and he was stunned. The recruits were lying on the beds in a neat row, straight, posing in all kinds of funny postures, as if to provoke Staff Officer Xie. Staff Officer Xie was so angry that his face turned green, and he shouted, Is this what you call obedient? Kong Xiang was speechless and could only stare at the farce in front of him in amazement. Qin Luo smiled softly in the dark. Tonight's show has just begun. Chapter 16, You actually used magic oil on us? Shameless. In front of the dormitory building, a group of new recruits stood in a row with their chests and heads held high. Wu Zuan walked around them, his face full of anger. He took a look at the indescribable row of standing tall, and his eyebrows jumped. Suppress the gun, quickly suppress the gun, Chong Lei shouted in a low voice. What are you still holding on for? Sergeant, he is disobedient and can't come down. Chung Haonan had a sad face and looked extremely embarrassed. Chong Lei was helpless and was about to say something when Kong Xiang came running over breathlessly. Lao Wu, I sent the man away and gave me 2 packs of cigarettes to coax Staff Officer Xie Wei. Stand still, Wu Zuan yelled, scaring the new recruits to move forward in unison. Kong Xiang couldn't help but cover his mouth and almost laughed. Tell me what's going on? Wu Zuan glared at them angrily. The recruits looked at each other. No one dared to speak. Wu Zuan glanced at Qin Luo and found that he was the only one who did not stand up, and he was even more angry. He rushed to Chung Haonan and slapped him. You, who of you did it? Chung Haonan was about to cry. Report to the company commander. I really don't know. This thing is growing on your body. How can you not know what's going on? Wu Ziyuan was so angry that he almost died. It must be him. Chung Haonan suddenly pointed at Qin Luo. He's fine, it must be him. Captain, I'm innocent. I'm not a craftsman. Qin Luo defended innocently. Bullshit. The recruits spat in unison. Wu Ziyuan roared. Squad leader, your soldiers don't sleep and do tricks and dare to embarrass themselves in front of the duty officers? The whole squad will run 5 kilometers, plus 300 push-ups. Qin Luo, you go back. Yes. Qin Luo saluted with a smile, gritting his teeth as he watched the recruits growl in anger. After a night of hard work, the morning wake-up call sounded. After everyone gathered and ran back, Chang Lei folded his quilt and left, and the new recruits surrounded Qin Luo. What did you do to us? Zheng Qian asked angrily. I told you, I'm not a craftsman. Qin Luo replied with a smile. Don't fart, Chung Haonan yelled. How is it possible that everyone stood up at the same time and still didn't come down? Besides you, there's also the class monitor in this dormitory. It is impossible for the class monitor to mess with us, so it must be you, Li Dashing said angrily. Qin Luo spread his hands and smiled. Actually, I didn't do anything. I just applied some Indian magic oil. What? Everyone widened their eyes. How dare you use such a dirty thing? Zheng Qian was so angry that he couldn't speak. You forced me to do this. Qin Luo sneered. If you want the antidote, you have to agree to my conditions. Dream on? We won't buy it, Chung Haonan said angrily. Then just keep holding on until you explode. Qin Luo looked at them with disdain. How Duo was so scared that he started crying. I haven't married yet. I don't want to be a father-in-law. Chung Haonan gritted his teeth. Don't listen to his threats. Qin Luo laughed. Don't believe it? Whatever. I'm going to clean the area I'm responsible for. After he left, the new recruits stamped their feet in anger. This kid is too arrogant. After Qin Luo finished cleaning, he found that there was no one in the dormitory. He was a little confused. That's not right. Why don't you come to beg for mercy when you are so uncomfortable? He returned to the class and saw that everyone was gone, and he felt uneasy. Can they bear it? When he went to the sink, he found that the toothbrush was yellow and smelly, and the towel had a mixture of various strange smells. He almost vomited. Ha ha! A loud laugh was heard in the distance, and Chung Haonan shouted proudly. What does it taste? If you figure it out, come over and help us cool down. Qin Luo was so angry that he was shaking all over. He sneered and said, Okay, if you want to play to the end, then come on, I'll accompany you to the end. Chapter 17, the company commander was terrified. What are you doing again? As night fell, after a day of training, the recruits had dinner and were supposed to be free to move around. But the recruits in the first class could only walk back to the dormitory listlessly. Their pants were almost ripped that day, and no one could say anything about the discomfort. The whole company laughed from morning to night, and this incident became a psychological shadow for them for the rest of their lives. Who told you to rest? Chang Lei walked into the dormitory with a cold face and shouted angrily. You made me lose face for a whole day, and you still don't stop. Do physical training for me. When you are normal, you can rest. Squad leader, we really can't do physical training anymore. People will die. Zheng Qian pleaded in a crying voice. Yes, squad leader, Chung Haonan also said in a sad voice. I feel like my whole body is hollowed out. Children like How Duo are still growing up and cannot become father-in-laws. Sergeant, I don't want to be a father-in-law. I haven't married yet. How Duo was so scared that he started crying. Chang Lei sighed and said helplessly, Okay, take a rest today, but if you are still like this tomorrow, I will chop you all up and feed you to the dogs. Everyone fell on the bed, feeling relieved. Zheng Qian asked in a low voice, When will this thing go away? Just when everyone was frowning, Qin Luo walked in with a smile. I'm here to help you solve the problem. Have you finally figured it out? Zheng Qian asked hopefully. Qin Luo took out an MP4 and smiled wickedly. Look at this. I guarantee you will get better quickly. Japanese martial arts film? Li Dashing was stunned. Why did you keep such a thing? Qin Luo smiled and said, There is a way. Do you want to see it? The screen lit up, and the opening scene of Warning. FBI froze everyone's smiles. Then, the two men started to fight fiercely, and everyone felt like they were about to explode. Qin Luo. Zheng Qian roared angrily. I'm going to kill you. I'm helping you. Qin Luo smiled innocently. You can either continue to watch and let go, or come and beg me for the antidote. Get out! Everyone roared. Qin Luo shrugged, turned around, and ran out, heading straight to the wall, dug a hole, and hid the MP4. You are too young to fight me. As the night deepened, the recruits tossed and turned, unable to fall asleep. The physical torture made them extremely uncomfortable. In the early morning, Cheng Haonan couldn't help but get up. Old Zheng, think of a solution. Zheng Qian gritted his teeth and said, there's no other way. I can only solve it myself. Ah! Everyone was stunned. Zheng Qian nodded. It's better to ask ourselves than to ask him. We still have to pass on our family line. A group of people sneaked to the toilet. Just as they were awkwardly solving the problem, the voice of Staff Officer Xie rang out from outside the door. What are you doing? The flashlight shone into the toilet, and everyone jumped in fright. Staff Officer Xie was dumbfounded. What the hell are you doing again? Chapter 18 Young People, hot-tempered. What on earth are you trying to do? Wu Ziyuan's angry roar echoed outside the toilet, with saliva flying everywhere. The recruits stood in a row, their faces pale and trembling. No one expected that their secret action would be caught by the company commander, instructor, and regiment cadres. They were so ashamed and scared that they wanted to hide in the ground. Speak up! Wu Ziyuan was so angry that he was shaking all over. Why are you gathered in a circle for something like this? Are you guys crazy? Cheng Haonan was almost crying after being yelled at by the company commander. Company commander, we don't know what this is for. Staff Officer Xie on the side sneered. Today really opened my eyes. You guys are really united. You guys are willing to do something like this together. Kong Xiang hurriedly stepped forward to smooth things over. Old Xie, don't say that. We are all young people, so it's understandable that we get angry. When we were young, I wouldn't have done this when I was young. Staff Officer Xie interrupted unhappily. Can you and Lao Wu play together like this? Kong Xiang smiled awkwardly, his old face flushed. This soldier is the only one who seems normal. Staff Officer Xie pointed at Qin Luo. In the whole squad, he is the only one who seems normal. The new recruits turned their eyes to Qin Luo, and they were all so angry that their teeth itched. This guy was clearly the informer. At this moment, everyone wanted to eat him alive. Okay. Staff Officer Xie waved his hands. I can't stand it anymore. It's too shocking. He turned and left. Wu Ziyuan looked at the group of recruits with a dark face, furious. Are you so sad? Will you die if you hold it in? What on earth are you thinking about all day long? Company commander, this is all my responsibility. Chang Lei stepped forward. I haven't finished talking about your responsibilities. Wu Ziyuan roared. How can you be a squad leader? Look at what kind of people you lead. Yes, Chang Lei replied with his head down. I'll give you a warning. Wu Ziyuan pointed at him. Think carefully about how to lead the troops. Yes. Chang Lei's face flushed. Qin Luo's smile froze instantly. He just wanted to punish Cheng Haonan and his gang, but he didn't expect to implicate Chang Lei. Captain, shut up. Wu Ziyuan stared at him coldly. You are also a soldier. Think about why they don't take you with them when they do things. Qin Luo nodded helplessly. Yes. Do push-ups now? Wu Ziyuan continued to order. Poke a hole in the ground for me. The recruits reluctantly followed Chang Lei to the playground. Qin Luo looked at their backs and sighed. This is purely an accidental injury, squad leader. As the day gradually brightened, loud slogans were heard from the playground. Wu Ziyuan had dark circles under his eyes, and his face was full of anger. Kong Xiang came over with a smile. You didn't sleep last night? Why are you like a giant panda? Can you fall asleep? Wu Ziyuan said dissatisfiedly. I've been leading soldiers for so many years, but I have never seen such a weird class. Kong Xiang comforted him. Don't worry, Staff Officer Xie will not report it and give the new recruits a chance. Why not give me a chance? Wu Ziyuan was still angry. How can we defend our country if they are like this? Kong Xiang smiled slightly. That Qin Luo, isn't he pretty good? Don't mention him. Wu Ziyuan said disdainfully. The whole class never brings him along with them. Kong Xiang shook his head. You are just prejudiced against him and cannot see his brilliance. Light is bullshit. Wu Ziyuan snorted coldly. I don't believe it. At night, after the training, the recruits dragged their exhausted bodies back to the dormitory. Cheng Haonan gritted his teeth and said, Listen, everyone. We will never reconcile with him. Tonight, we will kill him. Fuck him. Everyone shouted angrily, with flames of revenge flashing in their eyes. Chapter 19. Punch everyone. Open your mouth, come closer to my legs, and now start to do it hard. Qin Luo was singing happily while taking a bath in the bathhouse, using the soap as a microphone and dancing and spinning. As soon as he turned around, he was stunned and the soap in his hand flew out. When he was about to pick it up, he found a pair of feet standing next to the soap. He looked up and saw Zheng Qian, Cheng Haonan, and others staring at him angrily. Qin Luo's heart tightened, and he secretly wondered whether to pick up the soap or not. Well, I don't do that kind of thing. I won't accept you admitting your mistakes to me like this. Qin Luo swallowed. Shut up. Cheng Haonan was so angry that his face turned red. You idiot, you've caused us so much trouble. Today I'm here to end things with you. Qin Luo's eyes lit up. Are you really going to end it? Everyone, this is none of your business. This is our class's business. Go away and don't spread it. Zheng Qian waved to the other soldiers who were taking a shower. Seeing this, they hurriedly wrapped themselves in towels and ran out, not wanting to get involved in this mess. Li Dashing quickly closed the door, and everyone approached Qin Luo step by step. Qin Luo quickly protected himself. Hey, I don't like this. Don't mess around. Stop talking nonsense. Zheng Qian interrupted. We don't want to delay any longer. We'll get rid of you today. Qin Luo asked with a smile. Oh, do you agree to be my little brother? Stop talking nonsense, Zheng Qian said coldly. First, you have to apologize to all of us and treat us to 3 meals. Second, if you don't agree to the first point, we will beat you until you agree. Li Dashing continued. Qin Luo rolled his eyes. I don't want to agree to it. Then I'll beat you. Cheng Haonan grinned. I won't stop until I beat you to your knees. After saying that, several people rushed towards Qin Luo. Qin Luo hid in the corner, clenched his right fist, ready to attack. Don't come over here, he shouted, but his fist had already come out, hitting Cheng Haonan's stomach. In an instant, Cheng Haonan's body bent into a C shape and flew 2 meters away, knocking down the 3 people behind him. The scene was as silent as death for a moment. Zheng Qian and Hao Duo were stunned. Haonan, are you okay? Cheng Haonan endured the pain and said, I didn't. Ugh. He suddenly vomited violently, shocking everyone so much that they quickly stepped back. Qin Luo retracted his fist with satisfaction and said calmly, I don't want to hurt you. Why do you force me? Zheng Qian was so scared that he took a few steps back and stammered. You know martial arts? Of course. Qin Luo put on a Wing Chun stance. Young man, I advise you to learn your lesson. At this moment, hurried footsteps were heard outside. The door was pushed open, and Chang Lei and several squad leaders rushed in, followed by the company commander and the instructor. Seeing Cheng Haonan kneeling on the ground, Chang Lei yelled, What are you doing? Cheng Haonan, why are you kneeling on the ground? Cheng Haonan said with a sad face, Report to the squad leader. The ground. The ground is too slippery. I accidentally fell. Then why are you crying? Chang Lei continued to ask angrily. Cheng Haonan gritted his teeth, tears streaming down his face from the pain. It hurts, squad leader. Come and try. You will cry too. Chapter 20. Why is everyone so nice to Qin Luo? Chang Lei looked around the room, but before he could speak, Wu Zuan pushed him away and walked forward angrily. The new recruits were so scared when they saw the company commander coming that they stood still immediately, and Qin Luo also hurriedly put on his pants. Wu Zuan glanced at Qin Luo, then at the others, and immediately understood what had just happened. His face instantly turned livid. Great! A new trick every day. This time a group of people beat up one person, and he was beaten into such a mess he's really promising. Company commander, I really slipped. Cheng Haonan couldn't help vomiting as soon as he finished speaking. Slipped? How could he slide so hard? Wu Zuan sneered. It's obvious that he was beaten to his knees. Several squad leaders couldn't help but interrupt, and Chang Lei's face turned red, and he wished he could find a hole in the ground to crawl into. Why are you still standing there? Hurry up and get up. Instructor Kong Xiang tried to smooth things over. Hurry up and tell the company commander the truth. The new soldiers quickly helped Cheng Haonan and the others up. Cheng Haonan's body was still shaking, and he was bent over in pain, with regret on his face. If he had known that Qin Luo was so good at fighting, he would not have dared to do it even if he was beaten to death. Wu Ziyuan's eyes widened with anger. What else are you talking about? Even a fool can see what happened. Kong Xiang reminded quietly, This matter has a bad influence. Don't spread it. So what if it gets out? They've already lost all their face. Wu Ziyuan sneered, his eyes sweeping over all the new recruits. Squad leader, arrive. The soldiers in your class are too energetic. Wu Zuan ordered coldly. Take them to the playground and run for 2 hours, not a minute less. Everyone writes a self-criticism tomorrow and reads it in front of the whole company. Yes, Chang Lei responded with a roar. Captain, let's just let Qin Luo go. He was just fighting back in self-defense. The squad leader of the 5th squad tried to plead for Qin Luo. Wu Zuan snorted coldly. Does the army allow fighting? Isn't he a soldier? Aren't he and them comrades in arms? All the squad leaders immediately shut up and dared not speak anymore. Chang Lei, what are you still standing there for? Wu Zuan continued to yell, Run! Class 1, target the playground run. Chang Lei ordered loudly. The new recruits followed behind with bitter faces. Chung Haonan was in so much pain that he burst into tears, but he dared not complain. Qin Luo put on his clothes and quickly followed, feeling proud in his heart. This punch today should have convinced them, right? Maybe they will give in tomorrow. Running behind Chang Lei, Qin Luo said, Squad leader, why don't you stop running? We promise not to be lazy. Chang Lei didn't look back, but said coldly, You are comrades in arms. You must love each other. When you are on the battlefield, you can turn your back to each other. Qin Luo was silent. He didn't understand Chang Lei's words. Why should you leave your back to others? Isn't it better to leave it to yourself? He shook his head, stopped thinking, and strode forward. Chang Lei looked at their backs and murmured, I hope that after today, you will understand that you are already a soldier. In the dormitory, Qin Luo was lying on his bed, soundly sleeping. The other recruits were as tired as old men, but no one wanted to trouble Qin Luo again. They couldn't beat him, and they didn't want to implicate the squad leader. Zheng Qian whispered, This guy is sleeping like a dead pig, but we are in so much pain that we can't sleep. This matter is not over yet. Chung Haonan gritted his teeth and said, We can't just let it go like this. We have to beat him once. We can't win. Li Dasheng and Hao Duo whispered, He's too good. But Chung Haonan's eyes were firm. We have to beat him at least once in some aspects. We can't let him ride on our heads all the time. Late at night, everyone was thinking about how to deal with this opponent. At the same time, Qin Luo's father, Qin Jiaqing, was sighing. Life in the army is so hard. I wonder if Xiao Luo has been bullied. If he can't bear it, he should really come back. How about making a phone call and asking? Wang Rifa suggested. Qin Jiaqing's eyes lit up. Yes, hurry up and fight. Only when he comes back, I will have the motivation to make money. Chapter 21, Do you still want to be abused by me? Okay. Thank you, Commander Qi. As soon as Wang Rifa hung up the phone, Qin Jiaqing came over immediately. How is it? Is Xiao Luo about to be sent back? Wang Rifa smiled and nodded. Captain Qi said that the young master went to the most difficult company. I believe he won't be able to hold on for long. Qin Jiaqing looked expectant. When will he be back? 2 weeks at most. Qin Jiaqing breathed a sigh of relief and said cheerfully, I feel relieved now. I guess this kid is regretting it to death now, hiding in his bed, crying and thinking about me. Ha ha ha. Wang Rifa hesitated and said, The young master went there to pick up military beauties. If he comes back in such a disgrace, I'm afraid he won't be able to bear the blow. Then let him go on vacation to relax. Qin Jiaqing waved his hand. Didn't we just buy him an island? Get 100 supermodels over there and hold a sea and sky event. I guarantee it will be ready in a few days. Wang Rifa gave a thumbs up and said, Master, this is really considerate. I'll do it right away. Wait, Qin Jiaqing's expression changed. Let me choose first. Not every woman is qualified to be close to my son. Wang Rifa looked embarrassed. What a father who dotes on his son to the extreme. 2 o'clock in the morning, at the gate of the 9th Company. Captain, I can do the check. You don't have to come in person. Staff Officer Xia apologized with a smile. Gao Kun glared at him and said, Stop talking nonsense. I want to know the truth, or I will be fooled by you. Staff Officer Xia had no choice but to lead the way. He secretly complained in his heart. Why did the regiment commander suddenly do this? Gao Kun had a stern face, feeling unhappy. In the middle of the night, the division commander called to inquire about Qin Luo's situation. Who was this kid? If the division commander hadn't insisted on asking for clarification, he wouldn't have bothered to care. Which class is Qin Luo in? Gao Kun suddenly asked. Staff Officer Xia's heart tightened, and he pointed to Squad 1 reluctantly. Damn, you're not sleeping at night, trying to communicate with spirits. Gao Kun was shocked. Staff Officer Xia couldn't help but cover his face. This group of people is really hopeless. Run faster. On the playground, Chang Lei yelled angrily. You really made me lose face. You should have reflected on your mistakes, but you did something weird again. If the company commander doesn't run you to death, I will run you to death. The recruits were running out of breath and sweating. Zheng Qian had just come up with an idea to deal with Qin Luo and was discussing it enthusiastically when he was interrupted by a sudden sentry check. The leader is so excited that we are still checking the sentry post at around 2 a.m. Li Dashing complained. Stop talking nonsense and run. Chang Lei roared. In the company headquarters, Wu Ziyuan stood in front of Gao Kun, and Kong Xiang watched nervously beside him. Gao Kun asked, Tell me about Qin Luo. How is he doing recently? Wu Ziyuan gritted his teeth and replied, He is not good enough. I suggest sending him back. Gao Kun slammed the table and said, You promised me that you would take good care of him, and now you want to back out? Wu Ziyuan was stunned, and his past flashed through his mind. Gao Kun said earnestly, You were not favored at the beginning, but you survived. The same goes for Qin Luo. Now that he has joined the army, we can't give up on him. Wu Ziyuan finally nodded. Yes, Captain. Kong Xiang secretly breathed a sigh of relief and thought. Fortunately, Wu Ziyuan finally got it. Early in the morning, the wake-up call sounded. Qin Luo got up immediately and saw that all the other recruits had dark circles under their eyes. What's wrong with you? Didn't you sleep all night? He asked curiously. The recruits looked at each other, suddenly smiled meaningfully, quickly put on their clothes, and ran out. Qin Luo looked at their backs, frowned, and said to himself, What are these guys up to? Chapter 22. You are full of rebellious bones. The sharp whistle broke the silence of the night. All company assemble. The classes were immediately excited, and the soldiers quickly rushed out of the dormitories and gathered in groups on the playground. Wu Ziyuan stood in front of everyone with a gloomy face. I just received news that there will be major changes in the assessment of new recruits this year. He glanced at the entire audience and announced in a cold voice. Everyone looked at each other, especially the squad leaders, who were surprised. In the past, the assessment was conducted by the training regiments of each division separately, but this year, the 3 training regiments of new recruits in the entire army were assessed together. This was an unprecedented change. Wu Ziyuan said seriously. This time, it's not just our regiment that's competing, we'll also be competing with the teaching regiments of the other 2 divisions. The division commanders and army leaders will be there, and we'll show them off when the time comes. Not only for the honor of our company, but also for the dignity of our division. Yes, everyone shouted in unison. In the team, Qin Luo's eyes lit up slightly. The system task was to get the first place among the recruits. Now that 3 teaching regiments were competing together, the difficulty increased dramatically, but the reward might also double. He was full of expectations. However, when he thought of the few soldiers he had yet to tame, his heart sank again. If he couldn't get them under control before the recruit assessment, he wouldn't get any reward even if he ranked first in the army. All classes move on and continue training, Wu Ziyuan ordered. Chang Lei looked at the soldiers in the first squad seriously. The company commander just said it very clearly. This assessment is very important. If you get good results, I will take you to the division Reconnaissance battalion. When they heard about the Reconnaissance camp, everyone's eyes lit up with excitement. That was the dream place for all soldiers. Chang Lei continued. So, starting today, the amount of training will be doubled. We must ensure quality while improving our strength. Remember, the 3 teaching groups will be assessed together, so don't be careless. Yes, everyone shouted in unison. We will continue to practice the formation this morning. Qin Luo will train with me alone, and Zheng Qian will lead the others. Report, Cheng Haonan suddenly shouted, interrupting Chang Lei's words. Qin Luo was stunned and looked at Cheng Haonan. Explain. Squad leader, we decided to train with Qin Luo. Qin Luo raised his eyebrows, and Chang Lei looked at Cheng Haonan in surprise. Why do you want to practice with him? Report to the squad leader, we know that Qin Luo is very strong. We can improve faster by practicing with him. Cheng Haonan said loudly. Chang Lei immediately laughed. Do you all think so? Zheng Qian and others nodded quickly. Yes, squad leader, we really think so. Cheng Haonan didn't know what others were thinking and thought that everyone was on his side, so he looked at Qin Luo provocatively. Qin Luo's eye twitched. Doesn't this guy really realize that he is being isolated? Very good. This is what a soldier should be like. Chang Lei nodded with satisfaction. Knowing shame will lead to courage. I believe you can definitely catch up with Qin Luo. Cheng Haonan shouted with great pride. We will not only catch up with him, but also surpass him. Qin Luo rolled his eyes helplessly and cursed in his heart. This guy is so stubborn. As soon as the training was over, Qin Luo walked up to Chung Haonan. Chung Haonan was a little panicked and quickly stepped back. Hey, if you have something to say, talk it over nicely. Don't hit me. You want to compete, right? Qin Luo smiled coldly. Then let's compete again. If you lose, you have to obey me, okay? Chung Haonan gritted his teeth and nodded. Okay, I want to see what you can do. Chapter 23. The recruits are crazy. The whistle blew late at night, and the entire company assembled. As soon as the order to end the training was given, a group of soldiers were like chicken blood, refusing to rest. Chung Haonan took the lead and stared at Qin Luo's every move, as if he wanted to brand his shadow in his mind. Qin Luo felt helpless. These people, did they take the wrong medicine today? When they gathered to eat, Chung Haonan yelled, "Ah," so loudly that the sky was shaking. Zheng Qian and others also roared, and the soldiers around them were stunned. The whole squad was like clockwork, and suddenly became the focus of the whole company. Eating became a battlefield. Chung Haonan and his friends were ready to eat everything up. Qin Luo just raised his chopsticks and found that the plate in front of him was empty. Several people swept everything, and there was no soup left. Qin Luo was speechless. Are these people competing to see who is the boss of the cafeteria? Back in the dormitory, Qin Luo just wanted to lie down and rest. But as soon as he closed his eyes, the people around him started doing push-ups. Every push-up seemed like a provocation to him, and they kept saying, "We will surpass you." Qin Luo was so angry that he rolled his eyes. What was going on? After finally getting through the night, Qin Luo finally fell asleep. Suddenly, he was awakened by a stomachache and rushed to the toilet. Before he could squat, there were bursts of blast from the toilets next to him, and the stench was overwhelming. Chung Haonan poked his head out from the next room and smiled proudly. "You can't even take a shit like us, you lose." Qin Luo completely collapsed. These people are really crazy. He took a deep breath and swore secretly, "I must beat them, otherwise I will be driven crazy by these psychopaths sooner or later." Chapter 24. What you lose must be won back. In the next 2 days, Qin Luo found himself completely trapped in endless torture. These recruits seemed to have gone crazy and launched an all-round contest against him. In training, they still closely watched every move he made and gritted their teeth and persisted no matter how tired they were. What was even more ridiculous was that this group of people not only competed in training, but also challenged him in all aspects of life: brushing teeth, taking a bath, and even washing socks and underwear. They wanted to compete with each other in every link. What's even more outrageous is that even going to the toilet has become a competition item. They even surrounded Qin Luo and competed crazily to see who could shoot farther or hit harder. The scene was ridiculous to the extreme. Qin Luo was simply driven crazy and was annoyed by these weird competitions every day. After a few days, Qin Luo finally couldn't stand it anymore. He realized that if he continued like this, he would either die of exhaustion or go crazy. He decided that he had to end this meaningless contest, so he took the initiative to find Chung Haonan and other recruits to negotiate. "Why don't we call a truce?" Qin Luo said straight to the point. "Everyone is tired. There's no point in continuing the fight." Hearing this, Chung Haonan sneered. "Do you think we can't beat you?" His eyes were as sharp as a sword. Qin Luo couldn't help but sigh secretly. This guy is really stubborn. Just when the negotiations were about to break down, Qin Luo tried to persuade him again, but Chung Haonan left without looking back. "See you in the matter. I will definitely beat you once." Looking at his back, Qin Luo suddenly felt a little helpless. Perhaps he really underestimated the persistence of these new recruits. At the same time, he also had a wonderful feeling that he had never had before in his heart, a subtle feeling of integration into the team. For the first time, he realized that he was no longer a simple passerby. Chapter 25. You're the only one called Haonan? You're the only one who's so arrogant, right? Bathroom challenge. The bathroom was filled with steam. Chung Haonan grimaced in pain and couldn't help but mutter, "Ouch, be gentle. Does it hurt so much just to rub my back?" How Duo smiled innocently and said, "Why don't you change someone? Your back is so weak that you scream at the slightest touch." "Bullshit." Chung Haonan glared in dissatisfaction. "I'm the strongest in the entire company. If I hadn't practiced crawling with Qin Luo this afternoon, I would have caught up with him long ago." Zheng Qian, who was standing next to him, laughed and said, "Haonan, you'd better admit your defeat. That guy is simply a pervert. Why are you competing with him?" Shut up! Chung Haonan jumped up suddenly. I don't want to keep competing, but if I can't beat him, how can I face the veterans when I leave the company? Just then, Qin Luo came over. Chung Haonan immediately took a fighting stance, rubbing the soap back and forth on his body like he was playing with nunchakus. Qin Luo couldn't help but complain. What are you practicing here? If you have the guts, beat me on the training ground, Chung Haonan sneered. Okay, let's do some physical training the day after tomorrow and settle it all at once. The loser calls the other party big brother. Qin Luo smiled. It's settled. On the training day the day after tomorrow, Chung Haonan tried his best to catch up, but Qin Luo still easily left him behind. After 3 laps, Chung Haonan was out of breath and finally gave up struggling, crying and shouting, "No more competition. Give up. You are the big brother." The whole class burst into laughter. Qin Luo breathed a sigh of relief and said to himself, "Finally, I dealt with these guys." Chapter 27 from today on. You are our brother Luo. The ham is so delicious. In the canteen, Chung Haonan was holding a deluxe instant noodle set, eating until tears came out. The new recruits around him were also frantically buying snacks, and the whole canteen was instantly bustling with activity. Eat quickly, eat quickly. When the lights out signal rings, you'll be finished. Squad leader Chun Liang urged while grilling sausages, holding a cigarette in his mouth. Got it, squad leader. Zheng Qian responded vaguely with his mouth full of spicy noodles. They devoured the food like hungry wolves, and Li Dashing couldn't let go of the braised egg. Qin Luo, you are awesome. Li Dashing gave a thumbs up. If it weren't for you, we wouldn't be able to eat these delicious foods. Qin Luo smiled, but sighed silently in his heart. Wasn't it useless to treat you to food before? Now that you are full, you are pretending to have amnesia. Then you won't compete with me anymore in the future, right? Qin Luo asked tentatively, full of anticipation. Chung Haonan wiped his mouth and said seriously, "Don't worry, I couldn't hold on any longer. Whoever wants to compete with you in the future can do it, but I won't compete with you even if you kill me." Qin Luo secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Finally, the torture was over. At this moment, Chun Liang came in with 2 boxes of biscuits in his hands. Chung Haonan immediately cheered. Squad leader, 10 more sausages. Chun Liang rolled his eyes at him and said, "You are such a bottomless pit." After eating this luxurious meal, Zheng Qian patted Qin Luo on the shoulder and said, "From today on, you are our big brother. We will follow you from now on." Chung Haonan also agreed with a smile. "You are very talented. We are willing to admit that you are better than us." Qin Luo looked at them, and the heavy stone in his heart finally fell. He felt a sense of accomplishment in his heart. He finally got rid of these guys. At this time, How Duo came over cautiously and asked timidly, "Brother Luo, if we can be assigned to a company, can you take me with you?" Qin Luo was stunned for a moment, looking at this guy who was always coerced by others but never made an enemy of him. His heart was inexplicably warmed. He smiled and patted How Duo's shoulder. "Don't worry, I will." At this moment, the system prompt sounded. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully completing the task. Qin Luo showed a relieved smile. It felt so good to be needed by others. Chapter 28. Gaining New Superpowers. Ding! Rewards are being distributed. Qin Luo heard a mechanical sound in his ears, and he almost cried with excitement. He finally completed this task, which was more difficult than his father forcing him to spend 100 million a day. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining 30 superpower points. New superpower, Eagle Eyes. Eagle Eyes? Could it be that the eyes turned into an eagle's? Qin Luo was stunned, and then he felt a strange power surge into his eyes, as if he was doing an ISBA. The next second, his field of vision suddenly magnified several times. How Duodua's face became huge, and he could even see a few tiny nasal boogers hanging on his nose hairs. Shit! Qin Luo jumped back in fright. How Duo was so frightened that he didn't know what to do. "Brother Luo, did I say something wrong?" Qin Luo stared at him and exclaimed, "There's booger hanging from your nose hair." "What?" How Duo tried to feel around, but couldn't find it. Qin Luo glanced at his eyes, and his vision became clear again. The booger was shaking between How Duodua's fingers. Qin Luo suddenly realized that he had gained an ability beyond imagination. With just a thought, his eyes could magnify his vision like an 8-fold mirror. His eyes lit up, and thinking of tomorrow's shooting training, he couldn't help but laugh. With this ability, do you still need to aim when shooting? You can hit the target every time. Seeing him grinning, Chung Haonan approached him in confusion. Brother Luo, what are you laughing at? Qin Luo scratched his head awkwardly. Nothing, I just think it's good that we are friends. Yes, let's all follow Brother Luo from now on. Chung Haonan patted Qin Luo's shoulder and shouted proudly. Brother Luo, please protect me. Everyone followed suit, with laughter rising and falling. Qin Luo was surrounded by this group of people, and his heart was warm. Although they were all ugly, at this moment, he felt that he had a true comradeship. Just as he was about to say something, a loud shout suddenly came from outside. Everyone inside, come out. Everyone was startled and found that it was the platoon leader on duty. Chung Haonan shivered with fear and quickly shrank his neck. Just as he was about to hide, he was pushed out by everyone. You idiot, come out, the platoon leader yelled. Chung Haonan had no choice but to walk out, muttering with a frustrated look on his face. Why is it always me who gets unlucky? On the other side, the Qin family mansion. Qin Jiaqing was reading the newspaper when he suddenly saw Wang Rifa rushing in and asked excitedly, Is there any news about Xiao Luo? Got it, sir. Good news. Wang Rifa smiled. Good news? That kid is finally coming back. Qin Jiaqing laughed. Finally, he couldn't hold on any longer. It's good that he's back. From now on, I can just focus on how to spend my money. Master, actually, the young master was not sent back. Wang Rifa said in an awkward voice. What? Qin Jiaqing's eyes widened, and he yelled at Wang Rifa. He wasn't returned. How the hell is this good news? It's good news only if he's returned, okay. Chapter 29. Let's go to the reconnaissance camp, okay? No more lying down. Late at night, the whistle sounded urgent. Emergency assembly. Qin Luo opened his eyes instantly and heard Chong Lei's low roar in his ears. Get up quickly. Emergency assembly. The whole class was in chaos. The recruits hadn't even woken up from their sleep when a shout suddenly came from downstairs. Emergency assembly. The assessment officially begins. What? Start early? Qin Luo's heart was beating wildly. Didn't we agree to take a day off? They were too good at having fun. The night before, in Qin Jiaqing's villa. Master, the young master has not been sent back, but we can go to the scene to watch his new recruit assessment. Wang Rifu explained. Qin Jiaqing laughed. When he is eliminated, I will be there to comfort him and take him home. Okay, I will cancel all my schedule and go pick up my baby son. Early morning, recruit company. In the darkness, Chung Haonan looked frustrated. Why am I always the unlucky one? He stood at the door, facing the glaring flashlight, and saw the duty platoon leader shouting at him. You come here? Qin Luo looked at his new friend helplessly. His thoughts returned to what the squad leader had said to him during the day. You are a good soldier. Don't care about what others say. We are all on your side. The squad leader's encouragement made Qin Luo feel the warmth among his comrades. He knew that although these people were sometimes clumsy and funny, their intentions were the most genuine. He figured it out and no longer worried about whether to go to the reconnaissance camp. Damn it, I'll just go to the reconnaissance camp. At worst, I could be a clerk or a communicator. It's better than giving up. Qin Luo made up his mind secretly. But now, the emergency assessment is coming. The assessment was brought forward, and Qin Luo knew that he could only go all out now. Gather! Qin Luo ran out in big strides, facing the cold wind. His eyes were full of determination. No matter what the road ahead was, he decided not to retreat. Chapter 30. You are the most stubborn person in my body. Hurry, pack the backpack, hurry! Chong Lei growled, lowering his voice so as not to disturb the silence around him. His tone was full of anxiety, and his whole body seemed to be stretched taut. Everyone started to work immediately. Qin Luo quickly spread out the quilt, stuffed the mosquito net and necessities into the backpack, and folded it neatly. As soon as he finished, he immediately rushed to the flustered How Duo. Brother Luo! How Duo smiled bitterly. Qin Luo didn't wait for him to finish and directly snatched his backpack. Hurry up and do something else. How Duoduo's eyes were filled with tears, and he was moved. At this moment, Chong Lei looked at this scene and smiled with satisfaction. Qin Luo no longer looked like a new soldier, but a veteran who was truly worthy of reliance. Okay, let's go. Qin Luo handed the packed backpack to How Duo, picked up his own backpack, and rushed downstairs quickly. The stairwell was noisy. Footsteps came one after another, and the whole barracks was as chaotic as a battlefield. Upstairs. Who's still turning on the lights? A major shouted in front of the barracks. Who else is running around? Don't come out without your backpack packed properly. Wu Ziyuan stood aside, his face gloomy and his fists clenched. These stupid soldiers, he muttered angrily. At this moment, a group of people quickly ran over and stood in a neat line. Wu Ziyuan recognized them at a glance and couldn't help but smile. 3 minutes and 15 seconds, the officer next to him announced loudly. Wu Ziyuan and Kong Xiang were stunned for a moment. This was the speed of a veteran. The major stepped forward and said, "Jump 30 times on the spot." His order confused the recruits, but no one dared to question it, and they jumped up immediately. The major watched from the side and saw that no backpacks had fallen apart, and a satisfied smile appeared on his face. Wu Ziyuan felt relieved and couldn't help but smile smugly. Basic exercise, just basic exercise. But Kong Xiang couldn't help but laugh at him. "Look, you're still being stubborn. Qin Luo's backpack is as solid as a rock, and you still say he's bad." Wu Ziyuan's face changed slightly, but he refused to admit defeat. "Don't worry, the real test is still to come." At this time, Qin Luo stood in the team, secretly clenching his fists. Looking at the major and captain not far away, he was very excited. "I must go all out in the next assessment." Chapter 31. Far ahead, far ahead. It was just dawn, and the morning light was faintly shining on the training ground. A group of hundreds of soldiers angrily chased several officers, and the scene was chaotic. But these officers were as agile as rabbits, knocked a dozen soldiers to the ground with their backhands, and then quickly jumped onto an off-road vehicle. "Drive quickly. They are not kidding," Colonel Hu Fei shouted, laughing triumphantly. In the car, the officers laughed loudly, and the off-road vehicle sped away amid the shouts of the soldiers. "Hu Fei, you bastard, don't run if you have the guts." The colonel who was chasing behind was furious. "Old Lei, stop chasing me. Take it easy." Hu Fei poked his head out and said jokingly, "I won't be so polite next time." Hu Fei got back in the car, and the major driving the car was laughing until tears came out. Shin Shinran, who was sitting in the passenger seat, asked in confusion, "Chief of Staff, those soldiers were obviously qualified just now, but you didn't pick any of them and humiliated them. Aren't you afraid of offending people?" "You don't understand." The captain in the back row laughed. "The chief of staff selects people based on fate. If they like each other, even the butcher will hire them. If they don't like each other, no matter how strong the soldier is, he is nothing but a fart." Hu Fei smiled and said, "Let's go and take a look at the collective assessment of the new recruits of Army C. Maybe we can find something fun there." At the same time, Qin Jiaqing rushed to the C Army Division headquarters. After being warmly welcomed by Division Commander Qi Xingli, he found that he could only be arranged upstairs away from the examination site and was stopped by 2 guards. "Old Qi, what do you mean?" Qin Jiaqing shouted in dissatisfaction. "Boss Qin, the assessment is a military secret. You can hear the real situation here." Qi Xingli left with a smile. Qin Jiaqing was so angry that he yelled, "Listen to the sound? Are you listening to my son's screams?" At this time, outside the assessment site, the commanders of the 3 divisions of the C Army gathered. Chief of Staff Chen Long smiled and said, "Whoever takes the first place today will get the year-end bonus." The flame of competition ignited in the eyes of the division commanders. Seeing that a unit entered the venue 15 minutes earlier, Division Commander Qi Xingli smiled with particular pride. "Sorry, everyone, we are too far ahead." "I am so sorry." The 2 division commanders looked gloomy and were greatly stimulated. Chapter 32. I've already won. Qin Jiaqing stared at the intercom in a rage, his mind in a mess. Wang Rifa was so scared that he dared not move, fearing that if he slapped the master at this moment, he would really make him crazy. "Master, calm down," Wang Rifa said cautiously. "Since the young master is performing well, it means he really has the talent." "Nonsense!" Qin Jiaqing slammed the table. "He has been spoiled since he was a child. How could he be the first in the army when he can't even carry a hot water bottle? This must be a mistake." As soon as he finished speaking, Qi Xingli's voice came from the intercom again. "President Qin, I just got the news that your son's class performance is extremely good, and he is likely to continue to take the lead in the next assessment." Qin Jiaqing's expression became even uglier. "What the hell is this? I ran so far just to see him get eliminated, but now I get to watch him show off." He paced anxiously. "No, Lao Wang, you need to think of a solution quickly. I want to see with my own eyes if he is playing any tricks." Wang Ri was stunned for a moment. Then his eyes suddenly lit up. "Master, why don't you call Commander Qi and tell him that you are willing to donate some money to improve their equipment? Then maybe he will take you to the site?" Qin Jiaqing sneered. "Good idea. Anything that can be solved with money is not a big deal anyway." He immediately took out his cell phone and made a call, pretending to be relaxed. Commander Qi, I just thought of this. I heard that your equipment at the division headquarters is a bit old. I brought some equipment money with me this time. How about you take me over to have a look, and we can discuss it on the spot? Qi Xingli on the other end of the phone burst into laughter. Ha, Mr. Qin, you are so considerate. Okay, wait. I'll send a car to pick you up right away. Wang Rifa laughed in his heart, but his face showed a respectful expression. Master is wise. This time we will definitely see the performance of the young master. Soon, a military vehicle drove over quickly and stopped in front of Qin Jiaqing. Qi Xingli greeted him enthusiastically. Mr. Qin, welcome, welcome. Let's go and see how your precious son won first place. Qin Jiaqing gritted his teeth and forced a smile. Okay, I want to see how many first places he can take. Chapter 33. Super Double Rewards? Qin Jiaqing slapped himself several times, making loud slapping sounds, which scared Wang Rifa so much that he quickly grabbed his hand. It hurts so much. Qin Jiaqing grinned. Wang Rifa advised with a bitter face. Master, don't think too much. Didn't Commander Qi just say that? The fact that Young Master's class took first place has nothing to do with Young Master. He just joined in the fun and took advantage of it. Is that so? Qin Jiaqing's eyes lit up with hope. Then can I still bring Qin Luo back? Of course. Wang Rifa nodded. You know the Young Master best. He is not someone who can endure hardship. Right. Qin Jiaqing nodded repeatedly. That brat can't carry anything on his shoulders or lift anything with his hands. How can he become a real man in just 1 month in the army? He must have cheated his way through. Wait, the truth will be revealed in the next assessment. He will be the one who goes home and inherits the family property. Wang Rifa sighed helplessly in his heart. Inheriting the family property, this fatherly love, is really enviable. The last 10 minutes, all groups, get ready, the assessment instructor shouted into a loudspeaker, and the voice echoed over the square. The recruits became nervous, and Qin Luo narrowed his eyes and looked forward. The training ground was vast and could accommodate the tanks of the entire regiment, but now it was covered with barbed wire. The content of the assessment had been announced, and everyone immediately fell into chaos. Tactical test, low crawl, high crawl, prone crawl, all without missing a single one, and finally rush through the barbed wire. After that, it's the physical test. Push-ups, sit-ups, parallel bars, horizontal bars, all in one go, and then a 5-kilometer long-distance run. The instructor's voice was like thunder. There is no time limit, but whoever finishes the fastest wins. On the field, everyone was sweating coldly. The recruits had bitter faces, and the company commanders frowned. Everyone knew that the intensity of this assessment had completely exceeded their imagination. Chung Haonan lowered his voice and said to Qin Luo, Brother Luo, thanks to your hard work before, we have the strength we have today. Qin Luo rolled his eyes. This was all purely accidental, but now it seemed that he had to give it his all. Class 1, listen up. Chang Lei walked up to them and said with a smile, Today I will fight with you and do my best to show the whole army that you are the best. Yes, everyone shouted in unison, full of fighting spirit. Qin Luo looked at the viewing platform in the distance. With the help of his eagle eyes, he could clearly see the officers on it. He thought to himself, I'm here just in time. If I can get the first place in the army's new recruits, the system will definitely give me a lot of rewards, right? The instructor's voice came again. Last 2 minutes to prepare. Qin Luo's eyes suddenly lit up, and a bold idea came to his mind. System. If I lead my whole class to take first place in the entire army, can it be considered as exceeding the mission? Give me more rewards. At this moment, the whole place was so quiet that only the sound of heartbeats could be heard. He was determined to break the routine. Chapter 34, Are all these new recruits super science? Ding! Reporting to the host, there's a certain probability. Qin Luo's eyes suddenly brightened. As expected, his guess was right. Tongzi, the scale of this assessment has also tripled. If you complete the task, will the reward also be tripled? Report to the host, there will be a certain chance. Qin Luo was speechless. It turned out that it was not 100% certain. He was so excited for nothing. He took a deep breath. Never mind, a certain chance is better than no chance at all. As long as he's given a few awesome new superpowers, he can get away with it anywhere. Hurry up. All companies should organize themselves and stand on the line in squads. Hurry. The assessment instructor held a loudspeaker and ran in front of the team, shouting, The company commanders immediately commanded their respective troops to move behind the temporarily drawn white line. All the classes quickly lined up, and countless people nervously looked at the crowds of people on both sides, and then looked at the track ahead. With so many people competing together, this is also a new test for all the recruits. Get ready! The instructor rushed to the side of the crowd and shouted with a loud speaker. Last 30 seconds. The new recruits from each class were immediately eager to get started. Qin Luo turned around and looked at everyone. You said before that I want to protect you in the future, right? Chung Haonan and others looked at him in a daze. No one expected that Qin Luo would ask this at such a critical moment. Yes, yes, yes. How Duo nodded vigorously. I must curry favor with someone powerful. Brother Luo, please protect me. Chung Haonan raised his head. Brother Luo, we are all the same. Zheng Qian responded with a smile, and the others nodded. Okay. Qin Luo glanced at everyone and said, follow me later. I will take you to first place, and then we will go to the reconnaissance camp together. At this moment, everyone's eyes lit up. Okay. Chung Haonan nodded excitedly, and the others also nodded vigorously. Qin Luo smiled at them, turned his head, and looked ahead coldly. On the side of the examination room, Gao Kun smiled and handed cigarettes to the other two recruit leaders. Come on, have a cigarette, have a cigarette. The two of them looked at him with disdain, but took the cigarettes without hesitation. Gao Kun smiled and lit a cigarette for himself. I'm sorry, you two. The assessment has just begun, and I've embarrassed you. He took a deep breath, blew out a puff of smoke, and said helplessly, you can't blame me. I don't want to compete with you. But the army insisted on arranging for our 3 regiments to compete together. Isn't this obviously asking me to bully others? The 2 regiment commanders were so angry that their hands holding their cigarettes were shaking. But don't worry, both of you. Gao Kun patted his chest and said, I have already informed all the company commanders about the assessment just now. He held a cigarette in his mouth and looked at the 2 men with a smile. Tell all the new recruits to be cautious. We can't beat you too badly. We are old brothers. I understand. Lao Gao, stop showing off in front of me. A regiment commander pointed at him unhappily. The first 2 rounds can at best be considered as your housekeeping passing, but it's useless. In the future, when there is a war, are your soldiers ready to rush forward to fold blankets for people and fold the enemy to death? Another team leader snorted coldly. The real competition has just begun. Don't be so arrogant. If you really let your new recruits hold back, you'll lose miserably later. Gao Kun nodded with a smile. Yes, you are all right. You are awesome. You are especially awesome. I really think so too. The 2 men were furious when they saw how he deserved a beating. I'm telling you, don't be crazy. Many of our new recruits this year are athletes. A regiment commander snorted complacently. Military subjects are our strong point. We will kill you guys later. Another one also snorted. Our regiment has a lot of awesome new recruits this year, all of whom I personally taught. I'll let you see them later. Gao Kun nodded very seriously. Yes. You are all right. You are the best. You are the most awesome. The 2 were so angry at him that they threw their cigarette butts on the ground. Then he came up at lightning speed, forcibly searched the bag from my body, and left. Gao Kun hurriedly chased after him. Hey, I only have half a pack of cigarettes left. Leave me one, you living bandit. Bang! At the same time, the starting gun rang out across the training ground. Start! The assessment instructor yelled. In an instant, the classes that had been prepared long ago rushed towards their respective tracks like tigers out of a cage. Call! Just then one team surpassed everyone, and they ran faster and faster, and soon the whole class had opened up a distance between themselves and the other teams. The various squads of recruits watched them run faster and faster, and they all hurried to speed up. Just at the beginning, all the recruits were in chaos. Come on. Chong Lei clapped his hands vigorously and shouted excitedly in the distance. This outstanding team is Class 1. At this moment, Qin Luo was leading the way, and everyone followed behind him. Don't care about anything, don't pay attention to anything. All they could see was the back of the person who had just appeared before them. The only thing in my head is what Qin Luo said, just follow me from now on. Get down! Before reaching the tactical line, Qin Luo roared and threw himself down first. Flutter! Qin Luo slid nearly 3 meters on the grass. Then the body suddenly changed into a crawling position. Using his hands and feet and exerting strength from his waist, he crawled forward quickly like a gecko. Puff, puff, puff. Behind him, Chung Haonan, Zheng Qian, and others fell down one after another. They all used inertia to slide forward 2 or 3 meters. Then, he did almost exactly the same thing as Qin Luo, quickly changing into a crawling position and crawling forward. The other recruits were still running frantically behind. Good! Wu Zuan jumped and danced excitedly in the crowd. This caused the other company commanders to look at him with murderous eyes. Kong Xiang looked around and swallowed carefully. Lao Wu, keep your voice down. Everyone is watching us. Just watch. What are you afraid of? Wu Zuan said proudly. My soldiers came in first, shouldn't I be happy for them? If they have the ability, their soldiers can run so fast. They can jump too. I won't stop them. Fire flashed in the eyes of each company commander. If this kid's surname wasn't Wu, everyone would have probably greeted him warmly by now. Kong Xiang said with a smile. Now you admit that he is your soldier? You were not like this before. Wu Zuan was stunned. What? Kong Xiang stared at him. No. Why are you still pretending to be stupid? Can't you see who is running in the front? Wu Ziyuan's old face suddenly turned red. In fact, he was also shocked just now. He never thought that all the people in the class would take Qin Luo as their role model and follow him closely. Moreover, Qin Luo's tactical moves were so standard that even he wanted to give him a thumbs up. Kong Xiang patted him with a smile and said, Old Wu, admit it, Qin Luo is a good soldier. He was right as the squad leader. Wu Ziyuan stared blankly at Qin Luo, who was almost approaching the barbed wire, and clenched his fists silently. It's only been a short time, and this backdoor soldier has become so powerful? Didn't he know nothing when he came? Wu Ziyuan suddenly felt a little ashamed. Because of prejudice, he never paid attention to Qin Luo at all. What exactly happened to him? There is also a group of new recruits. How come they suddenly become so strong? This was clearly not the case a month ago. The current level of Class 1 has completely exceeded his imagination. They all rushed over. Kong Xiang suddenly shouted excitedly. Wu Ziyuan also reacted suddenly and found that the last one, Hao Duo, had stood up from behind the barbed wire. The entire class has completed the first assessment, which is much faster than other recruit classes. Okay, Wu Ziyuan jumped up immediately with excitement. The other company commanders were already upset, and now seeing Wu Ziyuan's boastful look, they became even more upset. Hurry up, damn. What are you doing? Are you crawling like a turtle? Can't you see that the whole class has passed the finish line? It's fast. Many company commanders couldn't help it. Although they couldn't go up to give orders, they could still shout from the outside. On the other side, Gao Kun smiled and patted the two stunned regiment leaders. I'm sorry, you two. I beat you again. Your athletes are no good either. My soldiers were relaxed. Why are they still so slow? It must be because you didn't teach them well. The two captains turned around angrily, but Gao Kun was prepared and had already retreated 10 steps. Don't get excited. Gao Kun said cheerfully. The competition isn't over yet. I'll have to torture you later. If you get too excited now, you won't be able to bear it later. Shut up. The two team leaders rushed towards Gao Kun with anger on their faces. At this moment, on the viewing stand, Qi Xingli was also showing off proudly. The other two division commanders were so angry that they wanted to shut his mouth. 1 minute and 50 seconds. Qi Xingli couldn't stop laughing. 1 minute and 50 seconds. Can you believe this is the result of a new recruit? But in our division, this is commonplace. We are the A division, ABCDFG. A is the boss. The others can't compare. Shut up. The two commanders could no longer tolerate it and shouted together. Suddenly, a hand patted Qi Xingli's shoulder hard. Qi Xingli turned around and found Chen Long looking ahead with a look of shock on his face. What's wrong, Chief of Staff? Qi Xingli asked in surprise. Chen Long pointed forward and said, Old Qi, your new recruits didn't take a break and went straight to the next task. What? Qi Xingli turned his head suddenly and saw that everyone in Class 1 was already doing push-ups in the physical training ground. Qi Xingli's eyes almost popped out of his head. Oh my god! After climbing the tactical, they don't even want to rest? Are they Super Science? Chapter 35. Company Commander, I just want to ask you if you're awesome. They just finished the tactical climb and expended so much energy. Are they okay? Chen Long swallowed his saliva and gave Qi Xingli a thumbs up. The new recruits you lead are really brave. Qi Xingli's face was full of embarrassment, and he didn't even wait for him to speak. Li Wenguang sneered. You are brave, but you are brainless. That's right. Yen Jun laughed and said, A 120-meter tactic, how much energy does it consume? I guess they can't even breathe right now, right? Old Qi, you don't care about your soldiers. Is this how you usually teach them? Qi Shengli glared at them angrily. Nonsense. I am famous for loving my soldiers like my own sons. They're just very strong, that's why they didn't rest. You keep talking tough. Yan Jun looked at him sarcastically. I think it won't be long before they soften. The two commanders looked at each other and smiled at the same time. I thought this class was the best, but I didn't expect them to be so stupid. In their opinion, it wouldn't be long before their new recruits would catch up. Such a great opportunity to take the lead was wasted. Qi Shengli had already clenched his fists at this moment, his eyes fixed on the playing field. Qin Luo and others were doing push-ups up and down at a very fast speed, and they didn't look tired at all. But Qi Shengli's heart still rose to his throat. After all, they had just gone through the tactics. Even veterans had to rest, but these new recruits... Gao Kun, how do you lead your troops? They are obviously a group of good soldiers. Why are they so stupid? You'd better pray that they can stay ahead. If they are overtaken by others, I will never forgive you. Qi Shengli clenched his fists tighter and tighter. He finally had the chance to show off in front of the other two division commanders, and he didn't want to lose this happiness in such a short time. Come on. Outside the training ground, Chang Lei and Wu Zuan shouted side by side until their voices were hoarse. I almost shouted out all the strength I had from breastfeeding. On the training ground, Qin Luo had almost finished all the push-ups. He looked up and immediately realized that everyone was working hard. It seems that they really are a bit overwhelmed, as they just did not have any rest and immediately entered the physical fitness test. In order to exceed the task and obtain more rewards, they must be stimulated and allowed to unleash their potential. Qin Luo suddenly shouted, Chung Haonan, aren't you known as a street bully? This is not enough. How the hell are you going to make your girlfriend happy when you're dating? Hurry up. A man can't say no. Chung Haonan was immediately stimulated and instantly became like a pile driver. I can do it. Zheng Qian, Qin Luo shouted. Do you want the free instant noodles, spicy noodles, and ham sausage? Do you want some biscuits, cola, and chicken feet? I have to. Zheng Qian also started to work frantically. Let's go all out. Li Dashing, do you still want to smoke good cigarettes? Do you want to watch Japanese martial arts movies? Brother Luo, stop talking. I've already reached my limit. Qin Luo shouted in a circle and finally looked at Hao Duo. The boy was sweating all over and was doing push-ups with difficulty using the butterfly arm swing style. As soon as he met Qin Luo's eyes, Hao Duo was so scared that he immediately said, Brother Luo, you can't just ignore me, can you? Hurry up. If you want me to protect you, do it quickly. Qin Luo glared at him. Yes. Hao Duo immediately became like a madman and tried his best to curl up his body. The instructor standing by felt his scalp tingling. Are these guys crazy? What has upset them? After a while, the group finished doing push-ups together. Get ready for sit-ups, Qin Luo yelled. Everyone lay down together, their bodies rapidly rolling up and down following Qin Luo's rhythm. The instructor's eyelids twitched, and he subconsciously stayed away from them. The new recruits who had just finished their tactical training not far away looked at them with their mouths wide open. Don't these guys know how to be tired? They're almost out of breath, and they can still go so fast. They are really a bunch of perverts. In the stands, Qinlong, Qi Shengli, and two other division commanders all stared in shock, watching from afar. At this moment, they forgot everything and only had these guys in their eyes. It's amazing. Even with so much energy consumed, they can still complete the physical fitness tests so quickly. It seems like they haven't stopped yet, Qinlong asked. Qi Shengli and the other two shook their heads like rattles. We never stopped. We are always doing it. Qinlong swallowed hard and said, the soldiers in this class are too strong. They don't even want to give them time to rest. Are you planning to continue the assessment? He turned his head suddenly. Qi Shengli. Here. Qi Shengli immediately straightened his chest. You found a bunch of veterans to pretend to be new recruits, didn't you? Qinlong asked suspiciously. How could new recruits be so strong? The two division commanders also reacted suddenly. Okay, Qi Shengli, you have been mocking us for a long time, and now you have found a group of veterans? You shameless bastard. You're really unscrupulous in order to win. Qi Shengli was so anxious that he kept jumping up and down. Who the hell is looking for veterans here? They're all registered recruits. If you don't believe me, you can go check it out. How could the two division commanders not know about it? But they finally had the chance to suppress him, so they had to say a few more words quickly. Otherwise, this guy will be so proud and cocky in a moment. Qin Long turned his head and stared at Qin Luo, who was already on the horizontal bar. The physical fitness tests for others were also nearing the end. So impressive. I haven't seen such a fierce recruit in a long time. Qin Luo, you guys take a rest. Don't be so anxious. The other recruits are still far away from you. Recover your strength first. Chang Lei shouted anxiously outside the court. Wu Zuan no longer cared about his face and shouted at the top of his voice. Qin Luo, you're already very good, don't try so hard. Just play steadily and get the first place. Qin Luo looked at them, his eyes twitching. Who doesn't want to slow down? But who knows if someone will suddenly pop up from behind? He looked behind him and saw that the company commanders were shouting like crazy, and the new recruits from each company also started doing push-ups vigorously like crazy. The corner of Qin Luo's eyes twitched. It looked like if he didn't hurry up, someone might catch up with him soon. Then what's the point of him getting the first place among the new recruits? All his previous efforts were in vain. He automatically ignored what the two said and turned to look at everyone. Everyone was breathing heavily and staring at him closely. Qin Luo rolled his eyes and prepared to give them more strength. Let me ask you a question. Is the squad leader good to us? Everyone was stunned. Good. Of course it's good. It's very good. Qin Luo stared at them and said, the squad leader is going to be promoted this year. If we perform well and get first place in the 3 teaching groups, then he will definitely be promoted. Do you want to help? Everyone looked at each other and said, of course I do. I really do. Qin Luo showed a wicked smile. Well, then don't rest. Just follow me and keep going. Ah! Everyone opened their mouths wide. Cheng Haonan said with a bitter face, no. Brother Luo, we have completed 3 items in a row. We are so tired. Can we at least take a break? Do you still want to be promoted to squad leader? Qin Luo was waiting for him. I thought you were thinking about it. Qin Luo interrupted him and said directly, then don't rest. Didn't you see that the people from other companies are catching up? We have to be faster than them to keep our first place. If we win, I'll treat you to a big meal and give you a pack of cigarettes. Do you want to do it? Everyone's eyes lit up instantly. Let's do it. We must do it. For the squad leader, we must strive for first place. Qin Luo smiled and nodded. Who said that money is useless? At critical moments, this is quite useful. Okay, I'll go first because I want to be the first among the new recruits. You guys follow behind, and I'll come back to lead you later. What? Everyone looked at him stupidly. Brother Luo, you're a little... What? Qin Luo glared at them. You call me Brother Luo, but if I don't show some real skills and am not much better than you, how can I live up to this title? Stop talking nonsense and run. After saying that, he turned and ran out. Come back later. Don't let me lose sight of you. Everyone looked at each other in confusion. Actually, what Qin Luo said makes sense. A big brother should act like a big brother. Brother Luo is a very responsible boss. I listened to him. Then what are you still standing there for? Zheng Qian shouted anxiously. If they catch up with us, we won't be able to get first place, and all our cigarettes, instant noodles, and spicy noodles will be gone. Hurry up! Rush! Everyone roared almost at the same time and rushed towards the 5-kilometer starting line. Several classes of new recruits who had just arrived at the physical fitness test site were stunned for a moment. Looking at the backs of the squad riding away in a cloud of dust, all the recruits felt as bitter as if they had eaten Coptis. Fuck you. Are you gonna let me live? No, you're fucking sick. Can you take a break? You will die if you take a break. On the other side, Chang Lei and Wu Zon opened their mouths at the same time, staring blankly at Qin Luo, who was running farther and farther away. Seeing him rushing straight across the starting line, they both swallowed their saliva almost at the same time. This kid's physical fitness. Isn't it too abnormal? Isn't he tired at all? Wu Ziyuan widened his eyes. Chang Lei turned around with a smile and said, Captain, are you awesome? What? Wu Ziyuan looked at him in surprise. Chang Lei looked very proud. Let me ask you, am I a great soldier? Am I honorable? Wu Ziyuan was so embarrassed that he couldn't speak for a moment. Captain, I just want you to say one thing. Chang Lei looked at him excitedly. He has been misunderstood by you for so long. I just want to hear your true words now. Is he awesome or not? Awesome, awesome, really awesome. I was wrong, okay? I made a mistake. Wu Zon admitted his mistake and shouted. After the assessment is over, I will apologize to him. A solemn apology, and I will make him feel good. Chang Lei rubbed his burning eyes and laughed. No need to apologize, but your words are worth it. Don't be so sentimental with me. Wu Zuan pushed him and said, Didn't you say you would accompany them? Are you going to chase them? They're running away. Oh. Chong Lei reacted suddenly and turned around with Wu Ziyuan to chase after him. Chapter 36, Breaking the Army's 20-year record. Thump, thump, thump. In the conference room, Qin Jiaqing stood with his hands behind his back, his brows furrowed. He circled the conference table again and again. Wang Rifa said bitterly, Master, please stop turning. I'm almost dizzy even if you are not dizzy. Am I not anxious? Qin Jiaqing turned around and said, I don't know what happened to that brat. Has he been eliminated? May our ancestors bless him and don't let anything weird happen to him. Wang Rifa comforted him. Master, there will definitely be no problem. Mr. Qin, are you there? Qi Xingli's voice suddenly came from the intercom. Qin Jiaqing rushed over and picked up the intercom as if his, but was on fire. Captain Qi, it's me. What's going on? Guess. Qi Xingli kept the question in suspense with a smile. Qin Jiaqing and Wang Rifa almost died. Guess your grandma's leg. Qin Jiaqing suppressed his anger and tried his best to smile. Master Qi, stop teasing me at this time. Tell me quickly. I'm so anxious. Ha ha ha. Qi Xingli laughed and said, Boss Qin, I really have to thank you. Ah. Qin Jiaqing widened his eyes in surprise. You have sent me a good soldier. It makes me happier than if you had repaired the barracks for our division. However, the barracks still need to be repaired. This will make me happier. Ha ha. Qin Jiaqing felt as if he was struck by lightning, and his head was buzzing. It felt like my whole face was swelling. Master Qi. He swallowed hard. What's going on? Oh my, Qi Xingli said with a beaming face. You, my son, really made me proud today. Qi Xingli talked a lot, and Qin Jiaqing had already slumped into his chair, his head buzzing. Wang Rifa quickly put the intercom aside and said, Master, are you okay? Qin Jiaqing grabbed his hand and looked at him with blank eyes. Wang Rifa. Hey, sir. I'm here. Xiao Luo. How come I don't understand him at all? When did he become so powerful? Wang Rifa also looked embarrassed. He never thought that Qin Luo could be so powerful. The young master has grown up. Maybe he is fully developed. Wang Rifa comforted him awkwardly. Qin Jiaqing had a sad face and collapsed on the chair. I, Qin Jiaqing, have gone through ups and downs for decades and suffered so much to get to where I am today. I just want to give Xiao Luo a carefree life. If he joins the army, who will I spend all my money on? I'm such a loser. Hurry up. Use all your strength. They've all run away. Why are you still farming here? Hurry up. Everyone move. Hurry up. The company commanders were yelling madly on the sidelines, their throats almost breaking. The two team leaders couldn't help but rush over with saliva drooling. The recruits seemed to be crazy, sweating profusely, but they still gritted their teeth and pressed forward, moving much faster than normal. Even the officers on the viewing stand were stunned. How could the assessment of new recruits in previous years be so fierce? The instructors on the surrounding examination grounds all subconsciously stepped back a dozen steps to distance themselves from the recruits. These new recruits were full of murderous intent, and they were afraid that they would be beaten if they got close. This isn't a recruit assessment. Even the veteran assessments haven't been this tough before. I've been a soldier for 12 years, and this is the first time I've seen such fierce recruits. It's terrifying. It was all caused by the recruits of the 1st Squad of the 9th Company. They overthrew the recruits of 3 regiments with 1 squad, especially the leader. He is a complete pervert. The officers nodded vigorously in envy. At this moment, the whole place was in chaos. Only Gao Kun was there, walking leisurely on the field with his hands behind his back, smoking a cigarette like an old cadre on inspection. Looking at the other 2 team leaders shouting until veins on their necks were bruised, he laughed happily. Let you 2 show off in front of me before. 30 years in the East, 30 years in the West. Don't look down on the poor middle-aged. Today is finally my turn. Wait, I will show off to the death. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Qin Luo took big steps and leaned forward. He held the backpack straps tightly with both hands to hold the backpack tightly against his body. Sweat dripped down his cheeks and was left behind like beads from a broken string. He looked ahead and saw a valley not far away. This is the finish line. If I run over there, I will definitely be the top recruit in the army. No one can catch up with me. Several instructors were standing at the intersection of the valley at this moment. We're here. We're here. Everyone immediately rushed to the finish line and stood in different directions ready to count the time. Qin Luo was now using all his strength, filling his legs with power and sprinting madly towards the finish line. Just as Qin Luo crossed the finish line, an instructor pressed the stopwatch hard and raised his hand to signal him that he could stop. But Qin Luo didn't stop. Instead, he rushed past him. He turned his head and was stunned. Qin Luo was standing not far away. He unzipped his pants and started to wet himself. Fuck. I'm dying of pent-up sex. So good. Several instructors' eyes twitched as they watched. They had seen people falling down, lying down, or sprawling after running. I just haven't seen anyone taking off their pants to pee right after running. Can you be more weird? Instructor. Suddenly, Qin Luo turned around and smiled awkwardly. Do you have any paper? What do you want to do? The instructor's eyes widened. Qin Luo laughed even more awkwardly. I just farted and suddenly felt like pooping. Oh shit. Several instructors were so shocked that their jaws dropped. This kid is really weird. Forget it. I can still bear it. Qin Luo took a deep breath and really held it back. The instructors were all worried about him when they saw his expression. After all, you can't believe anything but fart. Qin Luo let out a long breath, and his stomach felt much better. He then looked towards the main road. We have to bring those guys back. If we are caught up by the people behind us, we won't be able to take first place, and how can we get the extra reward? Qin Luo shook himself, quickly pulled up his pants, turned around, and ran back immediately. Hey, what are you doing? An instructor raised his hand and tried to stop Qin Luo. Yeah, Qin Luo jumped up and slapped his palm. The instructor was instantly at a loss for words and stood there in a daze. By the time he reacted, Qin Luo had already run back along the same path. Hey, you've already reached the finish line. There's no need to run back, no need to run anymore. But after releasing the water, Qin Luo drove at full speed and disappeared in the blink of an eye. The instructor was speechless. This kid is not only weird, but also crazy. He ran back after crossing the finish line. Suddenly, he saw water on his hands and jumped up in anger. Fuck, the bastard peed on his hands. Report. A new recruit has already completed the 5-kilometer test. On the viewing stand, the voice of the finish line instructor suddenly came from the intercom. Chen Long, Qi Xingli, and the others immediately pricked up their ears. What's your name? Which unit are you from? Report your results, an instructor asked loudly. Report, his name is Qin Luo, and he is a new recruit from the 1st Squad of the 9th Company of the A Division Training Regiment. His 5-kilometer test result is 15 minutes and 50 seconds. What? Everyone's eyes widened in shock. Yan Jun opened his mouth wide. Did you report it wrong? Report it again? A confident voice came from the other end. Report, no mistake, 15 minutes and 50 seconds. We calculated the time at the same time. There is absolutely no mistake. Chen Long hurried over, grabbed the intercom, and asked, Have you checked his equipment to see if anything is missing? Report. Checked. Nothing is missing. The scene was silent for 2 seconds. The shock on everyone's faces grew even more intense. Everyone swallowed hard. Got it. Chen Long returned the intercom to the instructor and looked at Qi Xingli in shock. Old Qi Yu, the new recruit, are really amazing. Before Qi Xingli could speak, an instructor suddenly said, Report, I just checked and found that the assessment result of this soldier named Qin Luo broke the previous record for the assessment of new recruits. Chen Long asked hurriedly, How long has it been broken? The instructor said solemnly, 20 years. What? Chen Long widened his eyes in shock. 20 years. The instructor repeated, In the past 20 years, no new recruit has run as fast as him. The last time someone ran better than him was 20 years ago. Everyone present was shocked. Even Qi Xingli forgot to show off. He broke the record that hadn't been broken in 20 years. A smile slowly emerged on Chen Long's face. This assessment was held at the right time. We found a potential soldier king. The 2 division commanders looked at Qi Xingli and immediately turned their heads away. They were already feeling sad enough right now and didn't like seeing this guy showing off at all. How could such a good soldier be taken away by Qi Xingli? Qi Xingli was extremely excited at the moment. He held the intercom tightly. It's a bit early to tell Director Qin. If I tell him about Qin Luo's results, he will probably be so happy that he will laugh. How is that kid now? Is he in good condition? Chen Long asked with concern. Report, he is fine. He urinated at the finish line and has run back the same way. The instructor replied. What? Chen Long asked in disbelief. He ran back the same way? Why did he run back? Did he think he ran too fast and wanted to run again? Hurry up, keep up. Chung Haonan ran panting at the front of the team, and the others followed one after another. How Duo, who was running out of energy, was caught in the middle. If he really couldn't run anymore, he would pull the backpack of the person in front of him, and the person behind him would push him. Zheng Qian panted and said, We seem to have already been first. Should we slow down? Chung Haonan wiped his sweat and looked back. I think it's okay. Since no one is catching up, let's run slower. Brother Luo doesn't know anyway, so we just need to be the first. Why didn't you say so earlier? Li Dashing was immediately deflated. I just had a shit in my stomach that I wanted to take. We didn't bring any paper. Everyone looked disgusted. It's okay. I can scrape it with a branch, or I can just use my fingers. Li Dashing chuckled. They are so disgusting. Everyone raised their middle fingers to Li Dashing. Don't just stand there, take a break. We are still far ahead, and it won't hurt to rest for a minute or two. Zheng Qian shouted breathlessly. Everyone immediately began to slow down, but before they could breathe a sigh of relief, Qin Luo's voice suddenly came from the front. Why are you so slow? You made me run so far. Hurry up. Everyone's eyes almost popped out when they saw Qin Luo rushing back again. Shit, he really came back? Chung Haonan said with a sad face. No, we want to rest. What are you doing back? Chapter 37, What is going on in the Sand Fox's head? Run. Qin Luo held a branch in his hand and stared at a group of new recruits with sharp eyes. If I don't come, you'll want to slack off? Do you still remember your promise to help the squad leader get promoted? He hit the ground with a heavy stick, and the recruits were so scared that they immediately accelerated. Chung Haonan panted. Brother Luo, we are already ahead, and the other recruits can't catch up. Ban. Another stick fell to the ground. Qin Luo sneered. Do you want to become famous? Do you want to eat free instant noodles, ham sausage, and cigarettes? Stop talking, Brother Luo. Chung Haonan swallowed his saliva. I'm running. For instant noodles. No, for the squad leader charge. The recruits shouted and rushed forward desperately. Qin Luo sneered. Want to be lazy? No way. If we get first place, we can all go to the reconnaissance camp. Wu Ziyuan and Chang Lei followed closely behind, looking at the group of new recruits in front of them. Why are they speeding up again? Wu Ziyuan asked in surprise. Chang Lei pointed at Qin Luo. He ran to the finish line and ran back. Wu Ziyuan was so shocked that he fell down. Ran to the finish line and then run back? This guy is either mentally ill or he is a good soldier. At the finish line, the assessment instructor stared in amazement as Qin Luo led the new recruits to rush forward, only to be knocked off their feet. Qin Luo grinned. Finally got first place. At this time, Wu Ziyuan and Chang Lei arrived, and Chang Lei hugged Qin Luo excitedly. You are really good. Wu Ziyuan pointed at the instructor on the ground and asked, What happened to them? Qin Luo said awkwardly. It seems like they were knocked unconscious. In the distance, Hu Fei, the chief of staff of the Serious Special Forces, also heard about Qin Luo's performance and turned back with a smile. Qin Luo? He broke the 20-year record for new recruits. That's quite interesting. Chapter 38. A new recruit gets third-class merit and is commended by the division. Qin Luo unexpectedly became a star in the army. In front of the viewing platform, Qin Luo was thrown high up, like a victorious rooster. The new recruits cheered and lifted him on their shoulders. The officers on the viewing platform frowned as they watched. What's so great about that? Isn't it just getting first place? The other recruit company commanders and regiment commanders were so jealous that they turned around and left angrily. At Gao Kun's command, the team stopped immediately, and Wu Ziyuan quickly shouted, Put him down! The recruits quickly put Qin Luo back to the ground. Chen Long came with several officers, and Qin Luo and the others stood at attention and saluted. Chen Long smiled and said, You are the first squad of the 9th Company? Very good. Report to the commander, yes. Wu Ziyuan replied immediately. Chen Long patted Chang Lei on the shoulder and said, The soldiers you lead are pretty good, especially Qin Luo. Hearing this, Qin Luo's heart skipped a beat. He wanted to be the first in order to complete the mission, but he didn't want to be the focus. He just wanted to be a clerk and a communicator in the reconnaissance camp and live a life of ease. Qi Xingli echoed. He ranked first in the recruit assessment. Why not give him a third-class merit? Qin Luo's scalp tingled when he heard this. Is this a blessing or a curse? The other recruits were extremely envious. They knew how difficult it was to make meritorious contributions, but Qin Luo was just a recruit, and he actually won the award directly. Back in the team, Wu Ziyuan suddenly turned around and stared at Qin Luo, his tense face full of complicated emotions. Qin Luo, do you think you are a good soldier? Qin Luo's heart tightened. Report to the company commander. I'm still a long way to go. No, I think you're a good soldier. Wu Ziyuan saluted solemnly, his throat choked with excitement, his eyes revealing a hint of relief and shame. I'm sorry, I misunderstood you before. Qin Luo didn't expect the company commander to say this, and quickly returned the greeting. Thank you, company commander. At this time, the other recruits threw Qin Luo up again. Long live Brother Luo. We can enter the reconnaissance camp together. Qin Luo didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Please, stop throwing it away. I can't hold it anymore. Qi Xingli, who was far away, shouted into the intercom. Qin Luo, well done. Your son is amazing. Hearing this, Qin Jiaqing's face turned pale, and he slumped in his chair. It's over. My son is really going to join the army. I have no place to spend the money I earn. Wang Rifu advised. Master, don't worry. There is still a way. Don't forget that the young master is going to pick up girls. Qin Jiaqing suddenly slapped his head and said, yes, as long as he can pick up a female soldier. On the other side, Hu Fei from the Special Forces had a smile on his face as he looked at Qin Luo's profile. The son of a billionaire is joining the army? Interesting. I have to take a look at this soldier. Chapter 39, Can this be called a superpower? Qin Luo, mysterious special training invitation. What are you looking at? Can you see the third-class hero whenever you want? Chung Haonan arrogantly blocked the door of the first squad, glancing at the curious soldiers. More than a third-class merit, our brother Luo also received a commendation from the division. Do you understand how valuable this is? Zheng Qian added with a raised eyebrow. Yes. And brother Luo has been chosen by the company commander to go to the Reconnaissance battalion. As soon as he enters the battalion, he is the leader of the new recruits and walks sideways. Chung Haonan boasted loudly, looking extremely proud. In the crowd, a soldier shouted excitedly, let me say a few words to brother Luo, so that we can take care of each other after we leave the company. Yeah, I've taken shit with Luo Go before, so we're good friends. Let me meet him. Chung Haonan was so happy that he couldn't stop smiling and patted his thigh. If you want to see brother Luo, come one by one. How duo, take the money. Qin Luo was in the dormitory, rolling his eyes. These guys were treating him like a circus monkey. He was about to settle accounts with Zheng Qian when a system prompt suddenly rang in his ears. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the task. Rewards are being distributed. Qin Luo showed an excited smile on his face. Tongzi, can you give me more rewards for exceeding the task? System rewards. Elevator God of War, Sword God, Super Senses, 1505 superpower points. A surge of power instantly surged in, and Qin Luo's eyes flashed. He quickly sensed everything within 50 meters around him, from the slightest movement to the crawling of ants. He couldn't help laughing. That's good. The sentries won't be able to catch me anymore. But suddenly, there was a deafening boom sound in his ears, which scared Qin Luo so much that he jumped up. He frowned and turned his head. Chung Haonan, are you farting continuously? Chung Haonan laughed awkwardly. I've been holding it in for a long time. How can you hear this? Qin Luo shook his head helplessly. This super sense ability was indeed powerful, but it was a little disturbing. At this moment, Chang Lei strode over and said, What are you all doing here? Go away. A group of recruits murmured and dispersed. Seeing this, Qin Luo secretly thought in his heart. He had to find a way not to go to the combat squad. The best choice was to go to the company commander and talk softly and hard. But just when he had this idea, Staff Officer Xie suddenly appeared, hugged him and said, Come on, I'll take you to see someone. Qin Luo was stunned and wondered, Who wants to see me? But he didn't think much about it and immediately followed Staff Officer Xie out. So, who wants to see Tai Luo? Chapter 40. Hello, my last name is Shi. Shin Shinran had just returned from outside and was adapting to the new environment of the Tianlang Special Forces. The major sitting in the co-pilot of the off-road vehicle chatted with her easily, mentioning the three major figures in Tianlang: Demon Wolf, White Wolf, and Chief of Staff San Fox, and reminded her to pay attention to these three. Shin Shinran was curious about these names, especially when the major described them as super perverts, which aroused her vigilance. Suddenly, two figures approached them from a distance, and one of them made Shin Shinran's heart tighten suddenly. Although he was wearing a military uniform, she recognized the man at a glance. Qin Luo, a person she thought she would never see again. The memory of that night suddenly came to her mind, shocking her. Shinran never expected that this former playboy would actually join the army. At the same time, Qin Luo was also experiencing an unexpected meeting on the other side. Under the leadership of Staff Officer Xie, he met Major Shirlu. Shirlu directly handed Qin Luo a transfer order, inviting him to join the Tianlang Special Forces. This sudden opportunity surprised Qin Luo. He only wanted to complete the mission safely and steadily, and had no interest in suffering in the Special Forces. He was thinking of refusing, but he was overwhelmed by the new task issued by the system. Join Tianlang. Otherwise, he will lose all his superpowers. Qin Luo was struggling with his heart and wanted to tear up the transfer order, but he unexpectedly found the torn paper in his hand and panicked. He hurried to find glue, hoping to glue the transfer order back together. Looking at his panicked back, Staff Officer Xie gritted his teeth in anger, thinking that the whole team was abnormal, and each one was more neurotic than the other. This series of reversals and surprises not only makes people worry about Qin Luo's fate, but also makes people curious about Shinran's future. The fate of the two seems destined to be entangled in this special brigade, and what will happen next makes people eager to continue reading. Chapter 40, One I Treat You as Brothers. You treat me as an ATM. As night fell, the camp was filled with melodious songs. The new recruits carried their toiletries and walked towards the bathhouse, and Qin Luo was surrounded by a group of people as soon as he entered the class. "Brother Luo, where have you been? I can't find you," Chung Haonan asked anxiously. Qin Luo looked puzzled. "What happened?" "We are going to the Reconnaissance camp tomorrow. You said before that you would protect us. Does it still count?" Zheng Qian asked with a smile, and others echoed him. Qin Luo was slightly stunned, then smiled and assured, "Don't worry, as long as we are still together, I will definitely protect you." Everyone excitedly surrounded him and cheered. Qin Luo looked at everyone's smiles, but a little uneasiness rose in his heart. These brothers had already regarded him as the most important person, but he was about to leave. Zheng Qian suddenly leaned in and asked, "Brother Luo, does what you said before about helping us wash clothes still count?" Qin Luo looked at these profiteers with a smile on his face. "You didn't agree at the beginning. Why do you change your mind now?" Chung Haonan smiled innocently and said, "We weren't familiar with each other then, but now that we are, I recognize you as my boss." Just as Qin Luo was about to retort, Zheng Qian immediately shouted, "Brother Luo agreed. Everyone, thank Brother Luo." Everyone bowed to express their gratitude, and laughter filled the entire class. Qin Luo shook his head helplessly. These guys were too good at pushing their luck. At this moment, squad leader Chang Lei walked in and told Qin Luo with a smile on his face, "After you join the company, you will stay in our class. The company commander and I have proposed this." Qin Luo's heart was shocked. He wanted to tell the monitor his true thoughts, but he couldn't say it. He could only force a smile. "Squad leader, thank you." Chang Lei patted his shoulder and said, "Let's go. Wash up and get ready to go to the company." Qin Luo turned and left, feeling mixed emotions. He went to the canteen and bought all the snacks in the store. When he returned to the classroom, he pushed a cart full of snacks, and everyone cheered instantly. "Brother Luo, you are really our god." Chung Haonan and others were excitedly grabbing snacks. Qin Luo looked at them, but his heart was even heavier. He silently stuffed a few good cigarettes to Chang Lei and whispered, "Squad leader, these are for the company commander and instructor. Thank them for their care." Qin Luo suppressed the pain in his heart and looked at everyone with a smile. "I hope you don't blame me. I will definitely come back to find you." As everyone's laughter gradually faded away, Qin Luo's mood became heavier. He knew that he was about to embark on a road of no return, and he could only let go of these brothers temporarily. Chapter 42, Qin Luo, you are a good soldier. In the dead of night, Shirlu was eating instant noodles while teasing the starling in the cage. Hu Fei saw this and quickly stopped him. "Stay away from it. Don't smoke it." Shirlu smiled disapprovingly and said, "The braised beef noodles are so fragrant. It's worth it for it to smell it." Hu Fei rolled his eyes at him and reminded him, "Stop messing around and go pick them up." Shirlu was a little doubtful. "Will he come?" Hu Fei chuckled. He could have run with his comrades during the recruit assessment, but he chose to sprint alone. The serious was too tempting for him. Shirlu nodded and asked again, "But can he stay?" Hu Fei smiled slightly and didn't answer. At the same time, before dawn, all the new recruits in the company had gathered excitedly with their backpacks. ready to go to the new company. Chung Haonan excitedly pulled Qin Luo and said, "Let's go to the Reconnaissance company together." Qin Luo had mixed feelings. Although he wanted to go to a better place, seeing everyone's expectations, he couldn't speak after all. After the assembly, Wu Ziyuan led everyone to the regiment's playground. The playground was full of various vehicles. Chung Haonan guessed that they would definitely take the luxury bus and was full of expectations. The new recruits were called out one by one and assigned to different cars. As time went by, there were fewer and fewer people on the playground, but Qin Luo's name was never mentioned. Wu Ziyuan was anxious and ran to find Staff Officer Xie to ask why there was no arrangement for Qin Luo. Staff Officer Xie explained helplessly, "He has other arrangements." Just as Wu Ziyuan and Staff Officer Xie were arguing, an off-road vehicle came roaring in. Shirle got out of the vehicle and saluted Gao Kun with a smile. "Captain Gao, I'm here to pick someone up." Wu Ziyuan was stunned, and when he learned that Shirle was from Unit 0451, he fell silent. He understood what this number meant. Shirle calmly told him, "We have consulted Qin Luo's opinion, and he is willing to go with us." Wu Ziyuan forced a smile and said to Qin Luo, "You made the right choice. It's a better place. I wish you all the best." Chang Lei's eyes were slightly red, but he forced a smile. "Go ahead, do your best. This is where all of us scouts want to go." Qin Luo felt a pang of sadness in his heart and saluted deeply. "Captain, squad leader, I will never let you down." As car number 11 drove his comrades farther and farther away, Qin Luo looked at their backs and silently said in his heart, "I will definitely make a name for myself in the Special Forces." Chapter 43, Don't Call Me Mr. Qin, Call Me Uncle Qin. The off-road vehicle sped away from the training regiment, and Qin Luo couldn't help but look back. All the new recruits were excited to embark on a new journey, and no one looked back, but at this moment he inexplicably felt nostalgic because he had clearly been eager to leave here. "Don't think too much," Shirle said with a smile while driving. "The scouting battalion is a good place, but Tianlang is the best. Every year, countless scouts are scrambling to get in, and you, a new recruit, have such an opportunity. The veterans will be jealous of you." Qin Luo was silent for a moment and suddenly asked, "Commander, after joining the Special Forces, is there a chance to be returned to the original unit?" Shirle looked at him in surprise and said, "Of course, we in Tianlang only keep strong men. If you are not qualified, you will naturally be sent back." Qin Luo heard this and a relaxed smile appeared on his face. "Then I feel relieved." Shirle couldn't help but look at him again. This guy doesn't really want to be sent back? His reaction was really puzzling. While Qin Luo was enjoying the cold wind outside the car window, he was thinking, "I can find an excuse to quit after a month and return to my original unit. By then, I will have completed the mission and can pursue Shinran again. It's perfect." Thinking of this, he couldn't help laughing out loud, and the scene of his meeting with Shinran appeared in his mind. At the same time, in the office of the Tianlang Special Forces, Shinran pushed the door open and was stunned by the scene in front of him. Hu Fei was teasing a starling and teaching it to swear. Shinran couldn't believe his eyes and couldn't help asking, "Chief of Staff, are you really going to recruit that new soldier?" Hu Fei smiled faintly. "His test results are so outstanding, isn't it worth a try?" Shinran wanted to refute, but was interrupted by Hu Fei. "Rules are dead, people are alive. He has potential, I believe he can do it." Shinran left reluctantly, but she was full of doubts. She had investigated Qin Luo's background and found that he was good for nothing except money. She couldn't understand why such a dandy boy would be specially recruited into the team. What made her even more uneasy was that Qin Luo's arrival didn't seem to be just a coincidence. Just as she was lost in thought, a lieutenant found her and told her that an old man was waiting for her outside. Shinran walked out of the barracks with doubts and was greeted by a black Rolls-Royce and a middle-aged man with extraordinary demeanor. "Miss Shun, our master is waiting for you in the car. Please get in." The middle-aged man invited politely. Shinran hesitated for a moment, but finally got in the car. An hour and a half later, the car stopped at the Grand Hyatt Hotel, and Shinran finally met the master. "You are Shinran, right? You are really pretty. No wonder Xiao Luo can't forget about you," Qin Jiaqing said with a smile. Shinran was stunned. "Who?" "Qin Luo, my son." Qin Jiaqing looked at her bewildered face and secretly complained in his heart. "You little bastard, I don't even remember you, but you're still chasing me. You're so stupid." Chapter 44, Is 1 billion enough? If not, should we add a little more? Qin Jiaqing looked at Shin Shinran with a smile on his face. Do you remember it now? Shin Shinran was shocked and looked at the man in front of her in disbelief. It was hard for her to connect this middle-aged man with the carefree Qin Luo. How could a patriotic entrepreneur who donated huge sums of money to the army every year have such a useless son? Master, would you like to serve the food? Wang Rifa asked respectfully. Go ahead. Qin Jiaqing waved his hand and turned to Shin Shinran and said, the executive chef here used to be a master of Huaiyang cuisine at the state banquet. You can try it later. Shin Shinran forced a smile and said, Mr. Qin, you are too polite. However, I have something else to do, and I need to go back quickly. Just tell me what you want to say. Qin Jiaqing smiled slightly, with some appreciation in his eyes. You really have a personality. No wonder Xiao Luo cares about you so much. Then I'll be frank. I invited you here today because I want to talk about your marriage with Qin Luo. Shin Shinran almost spit out a mouthful of water, her face full of shock. What marriage? I don't know him at all. Qin Jiaqing smiled disapprovingly. Marrying into our Qin family is the dream of hundreds of millions of girls. It's normal to be shocked, he said, holding up 5 fingers, 500 million in cash as a betrothal gift, plus 50 million in jewelry and a sea view villa. Shin Shinran slammed the table angrily and said, Boss Qin, I respect your contribution to the country, but please respect me. Not everything can be bought with money. Qin Jiaqing was stunned for a moment, then smiled and said, Then should I add some more? Shin Shinran was so angry that she was shaking all over. It has nothing to do with money. I don't have any feelings for your son. I don't even know him. Qin Jiaqing shook his head helplessly. It seems that Xiao Luo needs to work harder to pursue you. Then he continued to persuade. Think about it again. You can propose conditions. Shin Shinran couldn't bear it any longer and turned away angrily. Before leaving, she said coldly, President Qin, please tell your son not to harass me again. I can't afford you. Looking at her leaving figure, Qin Jiaqing sighed. What a girl with a bad temper. At the same time, Qin Luo stood outside the Tianlang camp, watching the off-road vehicle going away, his heart full of ridicule. This place didn't even have a welcome ceremony, which really disappointed him. Suddenly, an off-road vehicle came speeding towards him, scaring him so much that he quickly dodged. The car braked suddenly in front of him, and the window slowly lowered, revealing Shin Shinran's angry face. Shin Shinran, Qin Luo's face immediately blossomed with a proud smile. I didn't expect it. I found you. Shin Shinran stared at him, furious. How do you know my name? Qin Luo laughed loudly. Are you surprised? Are you surprised? I am capable, right? Shin Shinran gnashed her teeth in anger. She had just escaped from her father's rude proposal, but now she met this annoying guy again. Memories flooded into her mind, and she couldn't stand it anymore. She pushed open the car door and rushed towards Qin Luo angrily. Chapter 45. You are still the dude. Seeing Shin Shinran coming angrily, Qin Luo greeted her with a smug look on his face. For me, knowing your name is too easy. I said I would definitely find you. How about it? Are you surprised to see me? Shin Shinran's eyes were burning with anger. She had originally thought that Qin Luo could get the first place in the army's new recruits, and perhaps things would really change. But today's experience made her completely give up this idea. Qin Luo, Shin Shinran took a deep breath and said coldly, From now on, stay away from me. The farther the better. After that, she turned around and walked quickly towards the off-road vehicle. Wait! Qin Luo hurriedly chased after him. Why don't you keep your word? You said at the beginning that as long as I find you. Shut up. Shin Shinran turned around abruptly, her eyes stabbing at him like a knife. I said that just because I don't want to be entangled with you. You saved me. I am grateful to you, but that incident has passed. I don't want to have anything to do with you anymore, and I won't like you, understand? She lowered her voice and said, That night, just treat it as a misunderstanding. I have forgotten it, and I hope you can forget it too. Forget it? Qin Luo clenched his fists, furious. He worked hard to change and join the army just to make himself worthy of her. But now she wants him to forget it all? I am no longer the same person I used to be. I am also a soldier now, and an excellent one at that. Qin Luo said confidently. I took first place in the entire army and broke a record that had stood for 20 years. Tianlang recruited me, which is a recognition of my strength. Shin Shinran smiled and shook his head slightly. You are excellent, but you are not a real soldier. You only want to catch up with me and retire after completing the mission. Do you think you are a soldier? Her tone was full of disappointment. You don't understand me at all, and you don't understand the meaning of this military uniform. Even if you put it on, you are still just that dandy young master." Qin Luo was speechless, because every word she said hit his heart. Shinran turned and walked towards the car, and finally said coldly, "Don't let your father come to me again. I am not worthy of you, and I can't afford you." The door slammed shut, and the SUV sped into the camp. The guard at the door looked at Qin Luo in confusion, whispering, "He also knows Staff Officer Shin? It seems like they have a special relationship." Qin Luo was stunned. Shinran's words echoed in his ears for a long time. He clenched his fists, his heart full of confusion and unwillingness. "Dad must have messed up again, but it doesn't matter. I will prove myself in Tianlang and conquer her." At this moment, Li's voice interrupted his thoughts. "Hey, come over and sign." Qin Luo ran over with his bag, signed, and followed Luo into the camp. He was surprised to see the strict training of the special forces, but in his heart, he was thinking about completing the mission as soon as possible and finding a chance to leave this place. After entering the office, Qin Luo stood up straight and saluted. "Hello, Chief. Qin Luo is here to report." The sudden voice made his face change. "I'm not talking about you," Hu Fei explained with a smile. "I'm teaching this stupid bird to talk." Qin Luo suppressed his frustration, thinking that the special forces were really weird. Hu Fei asked Luo to fill out a form for him. Qin Luo took the form and was stunned for a moment. "Mental health test? Do you suspect that I am mentally unhealthy?" Chapter 46, Are you kidding me? Qin Luo looked at the psychological assessment form in his hand, speechless. "What kind of messed up questions are these? What's the point of asking me to fill this out?" Hu Fei explained calmly. "This is the rule of Tianlang. Everyone who comes in must fill it out." Luo also agreed with a smile. "Yes, I filled it out before. Don't think too much, just fill it out casually." Helplessly, Qin Luo hurriedly filled out the form and handed it to Hu Fei. Hu Fei took it with a smile and said, "Go eat and wait for the results." After the meal, Qin Luo asked expectantly, "What are you going to do with me next?" Luo smiled but said vaguely, "Don't worry, wait for the evaluation results first." Qin Luo felt uneasy and asked half-jokingly, "What if the evaluation results are not good?" "It's okay. At worst, I can come back next year." Luo responded with a smile. However, when they entered Hu Fei's office again, Hu Fei looked serious. "Qin Luo, you failed the psychological assessment. You can't stay in Tianlang this year." Qin Luo was stunned, his voice almost trembling. "Are you kidding? I've already received the transfer order. Why are you asking me to go back now?" Hu Fei explained helplessly. "The transfer order is just an invitation. To officially join, you still need to pass the selection. And the psychological assessment is the first hurdle that must be passed." Qin Luo slammed the table angrily. "Just because of a broken form, you decided whether I should stay or go. I gave up the reconnaissance camp for this opportunity. How can I go back now?" Hu Fei sighed and apologized sincerely. "I underestimated the challenge this time. I'm sorry, but I believe you will be able to pass it next year. See you at the top then." "I'll hit you." Qin Luo was extremely angry and threw a punch at Hu Fei. Although Hu Fei avoided most of the force, he was still hit in the chest and staggered back. Luo hurried forward to stop him. "Qin Luo, calm down." Qin Luo's eyes were red and his voice was hoarse. "I have no face to go back. You have ruined me." Hu Fei smiled bitterly and said, "I will help you explain it and let your old troops understand." "Get away!" Qin Luo roared and turned away. "I will never come again." Watching Qin Luo leave angrily, Hu Fei shook his head in self-mockery. "I really miscalculated this time." At the same time, Shinran stood at the window, watching Qin Luo stagger into the car and said softly, "I hope you can understand what the true meaning of being a soldier is. Goodbye, or never see you again." Chapter 47, Let me patrol? I'll kill you. Qin Luo sat quietly in the division meeting room. His mood had completely calmed down, but his anger was still burning. Hu Fei's mistake made him feel unprecedented humiliation. His original intention of joining the army, completing the system mission, and pursuing Shinran was no longer important. He had never been teased like this before, and this time he felt extremely angry. "Hu Fei, you big idiot, you have hurt me so badly." Qin Luo gritted his teeth secretly. He thought of Wu Ziyuan, Chang Lei, and Chung Haonan from the Reconnaissance battalion, and he became more and more uneasy. He gave up the Reconnaissance battalion and chose Tianlang, but now he was sent back. How could he face those comrades who had supported him? Just as he was getting angry, Qin Luo walked in. Seeing the anger in Qin Luo's eyes, he smiled bitterly and said, "Don't look at me like that. This is not my decision, nor is it who Fei's. It's all the result of that form. Science is bullshit." Qin Luo stood up indignantly. "A broken form can determine my fate? You missed a rare soldier in a century." Qin Luo was amused and couldn't help laughing out loud. "You are quite good at bragging. Ha ha ha, but it's a good thing to have ambition." Qin Luo glared at him, but Shirley's smile contained no trace of sarcasm, but instead a hint of sincere encouragement. "Thank you." Qin Luo suddenly calmed down and said seriously, "It's okay. I brought you here, and I'll take you away too." Shirley patted his shoulder. "You're a good prospect. I believe you'll impress us one day." The two smiled at each other, and Qin Luo felt a little relieved. However, when Commander Qi Xingli and the commissioner came in, Qin Luo's heart was in suspense again. "Commander, I have brought shame to our division, and I am willing to accept any punishment," Qin Luo said apologetically. "There's nothing to punish," Qi Xingli sighed. "It's not shameful to be sent back by the special forces." "Then can I still go back to the reconnaissance camp?" Qin Luo asked anxiously. "You can't go back," Qi Xingli said with a wry smile. "There is no place for you in the reconnaissance battalion. The army has arranged a new place for you, the security command." Qin Luo was confused. Security command? What the hell is this place? In the evening, Qin Luo sat in the dormitory, holding a white helmet with the word patrol written on it. He stared at the helmet blankly, his face full of resentment. Qi Xingli stood opposite and said with a smile, "Just do your job well here. The patrol post is also very important. The military appearance and discipline are all up to you to supervise." "Master, I don't think about going back. Isn't it good here?" Qi Xingli interrupted him. "If you work hard, you can become a good soldier." Looking at the commander's receding back, Qin Luo clenched his helmet tightly, anger burning in his eyes. "Okay, let me do the patrol. I can't stop you." Chapter 48. Three Armed Forces Patrol. "We are the most powerful." Qin Luo stood in front of the patrol booth, listening to squad leader Yuan Hong explaining the discipline regulations one by one, and was eager to try. The main content of discipline: first, observe political discipline. Second, observe organizational discipline. Yuan Hong was still reading seriously, but Qin Luo had memorized it by heart and interrupted him directly. "Squad leader, I can recite it backwards. Can I go to work now?" Yuan Hong looked at the new recruit in surprise and sighed in his heart. This guy's memory is amazing. He can memorize the manual in 2 hours. He pondered for a moment and decided to let Qin Luo try. "Okay, you will be in the same group with me tomorrow, and I will take you to work." Qin Luo saluted immediately, his face full of excitement. "Thank you, squad leader." Yuan Hong nodded with satisfaction and began to explain their mission. "We are the joint patrol of the three armed forces. We have the greatest power. Even generals have to be wary of us. As long as officers below the commander violate discipline, we can deal with them." Qin Luo's eyes lit up when he heard this. "Then can we manage the division commander?" Yuan Hong nodded confidently. "Of course. As long as he violates the rules, you can make him stand on the side of the road as a punishment." Qin Luo immediately had a plan in mind, and a sly smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. "Since you asked me to do the patrol, then I will let you see what it means to be impartial and just." The next morning, Qin Luo dressed neatly and got on the car with Yuan Hong in high spirits. He had already made up his mind and was ready to show his skills in the old army. "Stop!" Yuan Hong suddenly shouted as the car arrived at the entrance of the garrison headquarters. The driver braked suddenly, and Yuan Hong jumped out of the car and shouted to several lieutenants, "Stop!" Qin Luo watched the 3 lieutenants being scolded by Yuan Hong so hard that they dared not raise their heads, and he admired the power of this picket even more. Just then, a car stopped by the roadside, the window was lowered, and Qin Luo saw a familiar face, Shirley. "It's really you?" Shirley got out of the car with a smile and looked at Qin Luo. "Why are you a patrol officer? Didn't you say you wanted to return to your old unit?" Qin Luo sighed helplessly and explained, "It's hard to put it into words." Shirley patted him on the shoulder and said half-jokingly, "You look quite decent in this outfit, but be careful when you are a patrol officer. No one likes you very much." Qin Luo suppressed his anger, but when Shirley drove to leave, he suddenly reached out to stop the car door and said coldly, "Get out of the car and show your ID." Shirley was stunned for a moment. Then he smiled and said, "Stop joking. I really have something to do. I'll say it again. Get out of the car immediately and show your ID. Qin Luo raised his voice, and his eyes were sharp. Yuan Hong and other patrol officers also saw this scene and were so frightened that their faces changed drastically. Is this kid crazy? He dares to stop someone from the special forces? Qin Luo clenched his hands tighter, and he had already made up his mind. Since I want to be a patrol officer, I will be the most upright patrol officer. Chapter 49. Qin Luo is going crazy. Qin Luo put on a white helmet with a confident smile on his face. He is now the military inspector and has absolute power in his hands. He was just sent back from the special forces and was full of anger with nowhere to vent. So he decided to use this power to fight back fiercely. Turn off the engine, get out of the car, stand still, and show your ID. He shouted coldly to the person who got off the SUV. That was Qin Luo, his former guide in the special forces. Qin Luo was stunned for a moment and forced a smile on his face. Qin Luo, stop messing around. I have something urgent to do. Qin Luo did not give in at all, took out his camera and started taking pictures. Qin Li's smile froze on his face. You really want to do this? Qin Luo calmly recorded the violation. Give me your ID and stand still. Seeing this, squad leader Yuan Hong stepped forward to dissuade him with a helpless look on his face. Xiao Qin, he is from the special forces, why bother? But Qin Luo still insisted. I will investigate anyone who violates the rules, regardless of the unit. In one day, Qin Luo, with his keen observation, caught 19 groups of violators, including deputy regiment commanders and senior officers. Everyone he caught could only stand on the side of the road and recite the regulations helplessly. Even Captain Zhao Tian, who had ridiculed him in the recruit company, was caught by him. Walking in the camp with your hands behind your back is a violation of discipline. Bring me your ID, Qin Luo said coldly. Zhao Tian's face turned pale, but he took out his ID reluctantly. In the evening, Division Commander Qi Xingli received a call. Qin Luo has arrested more than 30 people in our division, and even the deputy regiment commander was not spared. Qi Xingli was so angry that he slammed the table. This kid is crazy. He actually dared to come back to the old unit to cause trouble. At this time, Qin Luo was looking at the notebook in his hand with a smug look on his face. He knew that what he did today had caused quite a stir. Looking at the cafeteria in the camp, he chuckled and said, "Let's have a meal before leaving. Anyway, the next shift will be changed, and the people from the division headquarters will come out sooner or later." He was looking forward to the next big fish and was mentally prepared to continue the game of revenge. Chapter 50, Who asked him to do the patrol? Qin Luo walked towards the military vehicle parked on the roadside, sneering in his heart. In the past few days, he had already caused quite a stir in the entire division, but he didn't expect to have an unexpected game tonight. He approached quietly and observed the soldier next to the car. The man was wearing a military uniform, but his collar was unbuttoned and he didn't even wear a hat, completely ignoring military regulations. What's more, he was crossing his legs and drinking beer. Qin Luo walked closer, took a closer look, and immediately sneered in his heart. It was Zhao Tian who had ridiculed him in the recruit company before. "Great, it's you, Captain Zhao?" Qin Luo whispered to himself, with a sly look in his eyes. Zhao Tian hadn't noticed Qin Luo's arrival yet, and was still chatting and laughing with the people at the same table. Qin Luo adjusted his breathing, walked up to Zhao Tian, and deliberately cleared his throat. "Captain Zhao, you look so excited," Qin Luo said with a smile, but his eyes were as sharp as a knife. Zhao Tian looked up, and his face changed immediately. He almost dropped the wine glass in his hand. He didn't expect to run into Qin Luo, his enemy here. Qin Luo, why are you here?" Zhao Tian tried hard to force a smile, but his voice was trembling. "I was on duty and passed by here," Qin Luo said slowly, his eyes passing over Zhao Tian's open collar, unworn hat, and the beer in his hand. Zhao Tian immediately felt a chill coming over him, and he knew he was in big trouble this time. Qin Luo was known for his impartiality, and even the commander did not dare to disobey his inspection. "Captain Zhao, you have seriously violated military regulations." Qin Luo put away his smile, and his face darkened. "As the leader of a company, you should set an example, but now you are drinking in public and dressing in a sloppy manner. How should I deal with this?" Zhao Tian was suddenly at a loss as to what to do. He had originally planned to just deal with it with a few words, but he had not expected Qin Luo to be so aggressive. "Qin Luo, we are all brothers. There is no need to be so serious, right?" Zhao Tian tried to save the situation. Besides, there are no outsiders here, so give me some face, okay? There is no such thing as face when it comes to military discipline. Qin Luo responded coldly. Zhao Tian was completely at a loss. He knew that he was doomed today. He lowered his head, stopped talking, silently took out his ID from his pocket, and handed it to Qin Luo. Stand still and recite the military regulations. Qin Luo began to record meticulously, his tone leaving no room for doubt. At this time, Yuan Hong also rushed over. When he saw that it was Zhao Tian, he immediately smiled bitterly. Qin Luo, you really specialize in catching big fish. Qin Luo put away the record book, turned around and said to Yuan Hong, Squad leader, we are the 3 Army Patrol, and it is our duty to be impartial. Yuan Hong nodded. Although he felt a little helpless, he had to admit that Qin Luo did nothing wrong. After Zhao Tian finished reciting the military regulations, his face turned pale, but he was helpless. He could only watch Qin Luo take Yuan Hong away, and secretly swore in his heart that he would take revenge one day. Back in the car, Qin Luo looked at the night view outside the window with a sneer on his face. Today, he had won a lot of achievements for himself. Who told him not to let him go back? Then he would fight back them fiercely in his own way. A game of cat and mouse has just begun. Chapter 51. After offending the entire army, can you still achieve merit? Shi Lu angrily put the bottle down heavily on the table and said, Chief of Staff, you don't know how embarrassed I was at that time. So many people took pictures of me at the entrance of the headquarters. I was so embarrassed. Hu Fei smiled and took a sip of beer. You were criticized by the whole army. Don't forget this. Shi Lu got even angrier and took a big gulp of beer. That ungrateful bastard. I welcomed him in and sent him away, but he turned around and ignored me. Suddenly, Shi Li's eyes widened, as if he had seen a ghost. He jumped up suddenly and ran directly into the flower bed next to him. Hu Fei and Shun Xinran looked at each other. What's wrong with this guy? However, before they could react, a figure rushed towards them quickly, and the white hat on his head was particularly conspicuous in the night. Stop! Qin Luo had rushed over and took several photos of Hu Fei and Shun Xinran. Hu Fei's scalp suddenly tingled. Why are you here again? Qin Luo stared at him coldly. You are violating military discipline. Show me your ID. We just came back from a mission, so we'll just have a midnight snack. Please be flexible. Hu Fei apologized with a smile. Yuan Hong waved his hand. What's so great about Tianlang? We have all been punished by the division commander to stand before, let alone you, the chief of staff. Hu Fei was so angry that his face turned blue, and he had no choice but to take out his ID. Qin Luo smiled and whispered, Hu Fei, I will definitely make you regret it. One day, I will return to Tianlang, and you will invite me personally. Dream on? Hu Fei was so angry that he was shaking all over. Qin Luo smiled contemptuously. Stand still and recite the rules for an hour. When Shun Xinran heard the order, his face froze, but he finally stood obediently next to Hu Fei. After Qin Luo left, Yuan Hong drove back with an excited smile. Xiao Qin, well done. Those Tianling guys always think they are great. Today we finally got rid of our anger. Qin Luo smiled and looked out the window. Squad leader, this is just the beginning. The next morning, Qin Luo and Yuan Hong were commended by the entire team. Because of their strict enforcement of discipline, the military district specially awarded them the 3rd-class merit medal. Yuan Hong smiled from ear to ear. I knew it, this time I've done something great. Qin Luo had a complicated expression. He had offended so many people, but he could still make merit? The road to becoming a soldier king was full of unexpected surprises. Chapter 52. Should I kill the witness to silence him? Qi Xingli patted his forehead helplessly and sighed. Stop talking nonsense. Murder to silence someone? Do you think this is a movie? Gao Kun chuckled and stopped joking. Then what should we do? This kid is relying on his strong backing to act recklessly. It may not be easy to convince him to stop all this. Qi Xingli pondered for a while, and suddenly his eyes lit up. Since the army wants us to solve it, then we have to find a way to make him withdraw from the picketing. Gao Kun asked doubtfully. He has set his sights on the patrol now, and obviously doesn't intend to give up easily. How can we get him to withdraw? Qi Xingli smiled, with a sly look in his eyes. Doesn't he want to return to his original unit? Why don't we go with the flow and give him a taste of sweetness? What do you mean? Gao Kun was even more confused. Qi Xingli explained, we can let him get promoted in his current position. For example, let him be the leader of a patrol team with a few people under him. Once he is given this small power, he may feel satisfied and lose the motivation to continue to cause trouble. Gao Kun nodded thoughtfully. I see. You want to sharpen him with a soft knife. That's right. Qi Xingli patted Gao Kun on the shoulder and smiled meaningfully. As long as he feels that he has achieved something, he will no longer keep his eyes on our division. In addition, he wants to return to his original unit, so we can secretly push him and get him back. Great! It's really great! Gao Kun clenched his fists excitedly. Division Commander, your trick is brilliant. It not only solves our problem, but also makes the army feel that we are actively cooperating. What are we waiting for? Let's act now. Qi Xingli stood up and began to arrange the plan with confidence. The two smiled at each other, already having a plan in mind. A few days later, Qin Luo received a transfer order, which clearly stated, due to outstanding work performance, he was promoted to the captain of the patrol team, responsible for discipline supervision throughout the army. Qin Luo took the transfer order and frowned slightly. What does this mean? Yuan Hong patted his shoulder and said with a smile. Xiao Qin, congratulations. This is a recognition of your work by your superiors. You will be the leader of the team in the future. Qin Luo didn't say anything, but he felt uneasy. He knew that his high-profile behavior had finally attracted the attention of some people, and the position of team leader was obviously a reassurance for him. They want to trap me here? Qin Luo sneered, his eyes becoming more determined. Impossible. He looked up into the distance and vowed in his heart. No matter how you try to stop me, I will definitely return to my original unit and become the best soldier. Qin Luo's eyes were full of determination and fighting spirit. He knew that this road would not be easy, but he would not give up. He wanted to prove himself with practical actions, not just a patrol officer, but also a real good soldier. He turned and left, with a burning fighting spirit in his chest. Chapter 53, let's go. Come home with me. Chun Long looked out the window at the pouring rain, his mood as gloomy as the sky. The officer handed him a hot water bottle and suggested that he relieve his frozen shoulder. Chun Long shook his head, saying that the hot water bottle could not relieve his pain, and only a hot water shower could provide some relief. However, he was on combat duty today, and it was obviously inappropriate for him to leave his post to take a shower. The officer smiled and comforted him, saying that in this kind of weather, the patrol team would not come out to check, and he was there to deal with emergencies. Chun Long hesitated for a moment and finally decided to take the risk of taking a hot shower. He let down his guard and began to enjoy the rare comfort. Just as he was relaxing, he was startled by a sudden flash of white light outside the window. He thought it was lightning, but when he turned around, he saw a face pressed against the small window. It was a face with a weird smile and a dripping white hat, just like a water ghost in a movie. Oh my God! Chun Long was so shocked that he slipped and fell heavily to the ground. Comrade Commander, are you okay? Yuan Hong helped Chun Long up, his tone reproachful. Isn't it just normal duty? Why are you so excited? Chun Long glared at him. Try to scare you when someone suddenly pops out of the window while you're taking a shower. Are you guys on duty? Who the hell would climb up the pipe to the 5th floor to check? Yuan Hong smiled awkwardly and explained that they didn't want to disturb Chun Long and just took a few photos from the window. Qin Luo calmly pointed out that Chun Long had left his post without permission and was on combat readiness duty, which was a violation of discipline, and he had already taken photos of him as evidence. Leader, please cooperate with our work and show your ID. Qin Luo's tone was calm but firm. Chun Long was completely panicked. He was well aware of the consequences of being reported, but what embarrassed him even more was that Qin Luo's official and ruthless manner. He tried to persuade Qin Luo with their past friendship, but the other party was unmoved. Just when the atmosphere was tense, Wu Ziyuan suddenly appeared and broke the deadlock. He appeared in front of Qin Luo with a group of former comrades and asked coldly, Qin Luo, have you had enough? Qin Luo faced his old friend with a complicated expression. He admitted that he was wrong and that he wanted to return to his comrades. Wu Ziyuan snorted coldly, turned around and said, Follow me, go home. Qin Luo's tears welled up instantly. He had finally waited for this moment. He wiped away his tears and responded solemnly, Yes. However, Yuan Hong was unwilling to let him go easily. Qin Luo, where are you going? Comrade Captain, if you take him away, what should I do? Wu Ziyuan turned around, his eyes sharp. He wants to go home, and you continue to guard your post. In this rain, Qin Luo finally found his direction. He knew that his battlefield was still waiting ahead. Chapter 54. Captain, there's no need to be so grand. As soon as Qin Luo arrived at the reconnaissance camp, he felt a chill blowing in his face. The rain was pouring down, and the sky and the earth seemed to be roaring deafeningly. The more than 100 soldiers, all soaked to the skin, stood like statues, their eyes like swords, staring straight at him. "Captain, are you sure they are not here to welcome me?" Qin Luo smiled, but he had already backed off in his heart. He thought that after going through so much, he would be welcomed with some warmth when he returned to the reconnaissance camp, but he did not expect to be greeted by such a group of hostile veterans. Wu Zuan smiled coldly, his eyes showing a hint of ridicule. "Welcome? Don't you see what you have done? These days, you have been very successful in the patrol team, turning our division upside down, and even offending everyone in the army. Now, you are standing in front of them. What qualifications do you have for them to welcome you?" Qin Luo swallowed his saliva, knowing that this was not an ordinary welcoming ceremony. He recalled what he had done in the patrol team, and he couldn't help but feel a little regretful. Chang Lei walked up to him, patted his shoulder, and said with a low laugh, "Brother Luo, these veterans heard that you got first place in the recruit assessment. They are full of respect for you, but your impressive resume makes them feel unconvinced. Today they want to test you well." "Test?" Qin Luo's heart suddenly sank. What kind of test could make these people stand here in the rain and wait for him? This was probably not just a simple training. As expected, Wu Ziyuan slowly walked to the front of the team and announced in a serious manner, "Qin Luo, as a member of the Reconnaissance battalion, strength is the only pass. Now, accept your first welcome lesson, a 5-kilometer weighted cross-country run, followed by a 100-man grappling fight." As soon as the words fell, the veterans became agitated and began to stretch their muscles, their eyes full of anticipation and fighting spirit. Qin Luo took a deep breath. A 5-kilometer cross-country run with a weight on was not a difficult task for him, but the grappling fight between hundreds of people that followed was clearly meant to beat him to death. "Captain, isn't this a bit too cruel?" Qin Luo asked tentatively. Wu Ziyuan raised his eyebrows and said calmly, "Haven't you always wanted to prove that you're a good soldier? Now you have the chance. Whether you can pass it depends on you." Qin Luo gritted his teeth, and his eyes became firm. He was not the kind of person who would back down easily. Now that he was here, there was no turning back. He pulled the straps on his body suddenly, took a step, and walked to the front of the team. "I'm ready." Qin Luo's voice rang out in the rain, loud and clear. The veterans laughed quietly, but their laughter was filled with inexplicable anticipation and fighting spirit. The rain washed over their faces, and even the air seemed to become heavy. "Good." Wu Ziyuan nodded with satisfaction. The reconnaissance battalion never keeps idlers or useless people. "Today, I will show you what a real scout is." With a whistle, the 5-kilometer load-carrying cross-country test officially began. Qin Luo took a deep breath, picked up his heavy bag, and rushed forward with a determined look. Behind him, more than 100 veterans followed closely, with serious and cold expressions on their faces. The rain was getting heavier and heavier, and it seemed that only the sound of footsteps and the sound of raindrops were left between heaven and earth. Qin Luo knew that today's test was just the beginning, and the real challenge was still waiting for him. "D55 Zhang, what are you?" Go Jian, the commander of the reconnaissance battalion, stood in front of the window and waved to the people downstairs with a smile. "Old son, come and see. There's something interesting going on." The instructor, Sun Yinqing, came over suspiciously. "Lao Go, what are you looking at? Why are you so happy?" Go Jian pointed downstairs and said, "Look, the guys from the second company are all gathered at the door in the heavy rain. What do you think they are doing?" Sun Yinqing frowned. "It's raining heavily. They must have gone crazy, right? I have to go down and take a look." "Don't worry." Go Jian held him back and said with a mysterious smile, "You know Qin Luo, right? He's the patrol officer who's been causing chaos in the division lately." "Of course I know. I heard that he even arrested the division commander." Sun Yinqing looked at Go Jian curiously. "How is he related to the second company?" "Well, Wu Zuan brought him back today." Go Jian exhaled a puff of smoke. "You know, the guys in the second company are not easy to deal with. Qin Luo chose to join the special forces in the first place, and it was not so easy for him to come back this time." Sun Yinqing looked downstairs in surprise. "Is that guy really back? Will the people from the second company beat him down?" Go Jian chuckled. "Who knows? But the fun has just begun." At this time, Qin Luo stood downstairs in the heavy rain and said to everyone in the second company, "Dear veterans, I am Qin Luo. I know that my previous choice disappointed everyone, but I came back to make up for this mistake." The rain hit his face, but he didn't care and his eyes were firm. If you feel I am unworthy of returning to the scout camp, then I am willing to accept the test." As soon as he finished speaking, the platoon leaders of the second company came out and looked at him coldly. "You want to come back? Our second company is not a place where you can come and go as you please. If you want to enter this door, you have to convince us." Another platoon leader shouted loudly, and everyone responded. Qin Luo smiled, suddenly jumped up, did a 360-degree spin, and landed steadily, then began an exaggerated dance, singing while dancing, "Avoid lightning, avoid lightning, avoid lightning with shit." The veterans of the second company stared with their eyes wide open, not knowing what he was doing. Qin Luo danced more and more vigorously, and ended with a classic move of Michael Jackson. "Everyone, this is the apology performance I prepared for you. Can I go in now?" Qin Luo looked at everyone with a smile. However, he was responded by 3 furious platoon leaders who rushed forward and said, "Are you fucking kidding us? Get in here." Wu Zun watched all this coldly under the awning and sighed in his heart. Qin Luo, you are challenging the patience of everyone in the second company." Chapter 56 Tongzi, you are alive again? Qin Luo glanced around and found that everyone was even angrier than before. He felt a pang in his heart, thinking, is it not enough to just perform a talent show? It seems that these people are quite picky. In a flash of inspiration, he suddenly remembered that he had not yet demonstrated his most classic move. So he quickly said, "Dear veterans, it was my fault just now. I'm still missing a signature move. Everyone watch." He immediately straightened his chest and stood at attention. Everyone in the second company stared in amazement as Qin Luo's body tilted forward little by little in the rain. But just when he tilted to 60 degrees, he suddenly fell forward. "Sorry, this action is a bit difficult. I may not be able to complete it alone. Can you ask someone to help me?" Qin Luo smiled awkwardly and waved his hand. "Shut up." The stern-faced platoon leader could no longer bear it and pointed at Qin Luo and yelled, "Do you think this is a game? You want to come in through this gate after performing a terrible show? Dream on." Qin Luo's smile froze on his face, but soon he put on a flattering smile. "Commander, I have an idea. Look, starting from today, within a month, I will cover all the instant noodles, sausages, Red Bull cigarettes for the entire company." Hearing this, everyone in the second company showed even more disgust. The black-faced platoon leader yelled angrily, "Are you bribing us?" "No, it's really not," Qin Luo hurriedly explained, but no one listened to him. "The reason we didn't let you in is because you looked down on our second company. Now, if you want to come into our home, you have to show your abilities and make us feel that you are qualified to be one of us," the black-faced platoon leader said coldly. Qin Luo knew that it was no use just talking. He walked up to the dark-faced platoon leader and said firmly, "Commander, how can I prove that I am qualified to go in?" The sullen-faced platoon leader looked at the veterans around him, and after discussion he said, "I'll give you 3 choices. First, rush into the camp from here and come back around, but we will do everything we can to stop you. Second, we will line up in 2 rows, and you run through the middle. If you can withstand our beating, you'll be qualified. Third, get out of here and go back to where you came from." After listening to this, Qin Luo's eyes lit up. "I choose the first one." The dark-faced platoon leader was stunned for a moment. "Are you sure?" Qin Luo nodded vigorously. "How easy is this? I can do it. Fuck." The veterans of the second company gasped. This guy really didn't take them seriously. Before he finished speaking, Qin Luo suddenly dodged, went around to their side, climbed up the wall in 1 step, turned around and smiled. "I told you it wouldn't be difficult." As soon as he finished speaking, he jumped into the camp. He actually climbed over the wall. The stern-faced platoon leader suddenly reacted and shouted anxiously, "What are you standing there for? Stop him." Chapter 57, Elevator God of War, or Trap God of War. Qin Luo realized that he was trapped in a very small amplification circle, and he was completely dumbfounded. He thought that this Elevator God of War skill was a powerful weapon, but it turned out to be a complete pitfall. He could only have powerful power in this small circle, and once he left this circle, his power would be no different from that of an ordinary person. Seeing the second company veterans around him approaching with anger, Qin Luo's forehead was covered with cold sweat. "Fuck, do you have to be so tricky?" Qin Luo gritted his teeth and screamed in his heart. Seeing Xia Dong leading a group of veterans approaching quickly, Qin Luo was also thinking about a response plan in his mind. There was only one way now, that was to use the amplification of this small circle to quickly knock down a few veterans and then break out of the chaos. "You forced me to do this." Qin Luo made up his mind, exerted force on his feet, and rushed towards the veteran who approached first. Bang! With a dull sound, Qin Luo's fist hit an old soldier in the chest, and the man immediately flew out like a sandbag hit at high speed, knocking over several people behind him. In an instant, the old soldiers were stunned, and everyone was shocked by this sudden powerful force. Stop him! Xiaodong came to his senses and shouted. However, Qin Luo did not give them a chance to breathe. He knew that this circle would not give him much time, and he had to knock down more people in the shortest possible time. After several consecutive punches, several veterans were knocked to the ground. How come he is so strong? An old soldier couldn't help but exclaimed. But just as Qin Luo was about to break out of the encirclement again, the effect of the amplification circle suddenly disappeared. His body seemed to lose support in an instant, his legs softened, and he almost fell to the ground. Damn it! Qin Luo's heart tightened, and he looked up at the approaching veterans. They no longer had the fear they had before, and they rushed towards him again with ferocious looks. Catch him for me! Xiaodong roared. At this moment, Qin Luo gritted his teeth and jumped, trying to break through again, but unfortunately he had no strength left. Several veterans rushed forward and pinned him to the ground. Qin Luo struggled with all his might, but he was no longer able to resist and could only watch himself being completely subdued. This kid is such a tough guy. Xia Dong panted, covered his numb face, and approached Qin Luo and said viciously, "No matter how capable you are, you have to go back today." Qin Luo lay in the mud, looking at the sky that was gradually blurred by the rain, with mixed feelings in his heart. Seeing that the plan had completely failed, he could only close his eyes helplessly. Do you have to be so pitiful? Qin Luo was dumbfounded. If he had known earlier, he would have taken a few punches and looked for a chance to rush out. Now it's good. There's no way to escape. Chapter 58. One person takes down the entire company? The crowd suddenly rushed towards Qin Luo. Seeing that he was about to be surrounded, Qin Luo's pupils suddenly contracted, and his super senses were instantly activated. He quickly noticed the movements of several veterans, and had no time to dodge, so he could only squat immediately. The veterans' hands were empty, and Qin Luo took the opportunity to punch them quickly and repel them. With the speed of a gust of wind, his fist hit the opponent's abdomen accurately, and several veterans flew backwards. Qin Luo was about to feel proud of his performance, but he found that more veterans were surrounding him from both sides. He subconsciously took a step back and found that he had jumped out of the elevator god of war domain, and the amplification effect disappeared instantly. He suddenly realized that the explosive power just now came from the domain blessing, but this domain was as small as a birdcage. As long as he jumped out of the range, he would be no different from an ordinary person. Seeing the veterans approaching again, Qin Luo suddenly had an idea and jumped back into the field, just in time to face a veteran. He smiled triumphantly, activated the elevator god of war again, and quickly knocked several people away with one punch. In just a few seconds, more than a dozen veterans were knocked to the ground by him. Battalion Commander Go Jian and Instructor Sun Yinqing were stunned. Go Jian said in disbelief, "This guy's fighting style is just like dancing, but every punch is so deadly." Qin Luo relied on the war god domain of the elevator, and was like a war god in a small area, but the amplification time was limited. When he found that his ability disappeared, he was surrounded by more veterans. He decisively used One Punch Man and instantly knocked Xia Dong, who was rushing in front, several meters away, scaring the other veterans away. Qin Luo took the opportunity to break through the encirclement and rush to the camp gate. His speed was beyond the reach of the old soldiers who were chasing him, and they could only watch him complete the task. Qin Luo stood outside the gate proudly and saluted Wu Zon. "Captain, I have completed the task. Am I now officially a member of the second company?" Wu Ziyuan looked helplessly at this fierce new recruit. Although he intended to give him a warning, he did not expect that he would show off his skills in front of the whole battalion. In the end, Wu Ziyuan reluctantly announced that Qin Luo passed the test and became a member of the second company. The veterans looked at each other in bewilderment. Although they were not convinced, Qin Luo did show extraordinary strength. Xia Dong was beaten so hard that he vomited nonstop and looked very embarrassed. Chang Lei carried Qin Luo's bag and followed everyone into the camp with a smile, secretly sighing in his heart. This new soldier is really not simple. Chapter 59. Is Wu Ziyuan reborn? It was pouring rain, and the corridor was filled with noisy voices. Go Jian and Sun Yinqing went downstairs and saw a group of soldiers gathered at the entrance of the second company, talking. "What are you doing?" Go Jin shouted, and the soldiers immediately dispersed. Go Jin frowned and asked Sun Yinching, "What are they looking at?" The captain of the third company came over and said, "What the hell is going on in the second company today? The new recruits are teaching the old soldiers a lesson, and now the people from the service agency are constantly sending things to the second company." Go Jin looked up and saw soldiers from the service center pushing carts to deliver goods back and forth. Are they going to empty the service center? A company commander came over and whispered, "Battalion commander, who is this new recruit? I heard he came back from the special forces." Go Jin said seriously, "The standards of the special forces have not been raised, but the standards of our reconnaissance battalion have been raised. From now on, everyone should follow Qin Luo's standards. If you can't reach them, you should practice more." Go Jin waved to the two company commanders to leave, and he and Sun Yinching walked towards the second company with umbrellas. Downstairs of the second company, the aroma of instant noodles and snacks filled the air. In the study room, Qin Luo was surrounded by new recruits, and the veterans praised his food while eating. "Qin Luo, you are too polite. You have so much instant noodles and boiled eggs. You are such a good brother." "That's right, the instant noodles and drinks are all here. No need to be so polite." Qin Luo smiled and said, "I was wrong about what I did before. I will do better in the future and bring honor to the second company." Go Jin looked at the scene and sighed. This guy is really good at building relationships. He has taken care of the entire company as soon as he arrived. Sun Yinching nodded. "This is called hitting someone with a stick and giving him a date. This kid is very scheming." The two were sighing when suddenly a soldier from the service club came in with a card. "Hello, battalion commander. Hello, instructor. Captain Wu asked us to go outside and buy some more goods." Go Jin and Sun Yinching were stunned. Wu Ziyuan's order? When I entered the company commander's office, Wu Ziyuan was eating instant noodles and was caught red-handed. "Battalion commander, instructor." Wu Ziyuan quickly put down his bowl and explained, "Qin Luo is treating us voluntarily. He has money." Go Jin waved his hand. "All right, I was worried that you couldn't even accommodate him, but now it looks like this." Wu Ziyuan repeatedly assured, "Don't worry, I will take good care of this soldier. You don't have to worry about it." Sun Yinching couldn't help laughing. Robbing his soldiers is like robbing his life. Qin Luo replied loudly, "Report, this is all thanks to the company commander and squad leader." Wu Ziyuan snorted coldly. "Don't give me that. You went to the special forces, and now you're back. I tell you, in my eyes, you're still a useless soldier." Qin Luo was stunned and stood up straight. "Captain, I came back to bring honor to the second company," Wu Ziyuan said unhappily. "Okay, stop saying these nice things and show me your true abilities. I want to see if you can do it." Qin Luo nodded, with a confident smile on his face. "Yes, Captain." Chapter 60. What the hell is this kitchen team? Cooking squad. Qin Luo's eyes widened in disbelief, almost doubting that he had heard wrongly. He had come back from patrol with a thick face just to get up from where he fell, but now he was assigned to the cooking squad? He wanted to be a good soldier, not just lie down and muddle through. "Company commander." Qin Luo puffed out his chest and said excitedly, "I am a soldier trained by you. I took first place in the military assessment and broke countless records. You brought me back, and I passed the test of the entire company. Even if I don't go back to the squad leader, at least let me stay in the combat squad. With my skills, I can bring honor to the company." Wu Ziyuan smiled faintly. "Do you think you are a rare talent?" Qin Luo nodded firmly, thinking, "Isn't this nonsense?" Wu Ziyuan nodded slowly. "Indeed, you have outstanding military ability. No one among the new recruits can match you, and even many veterans can't catch up with you. This is why I brought you back. But you are too eager to make up for past mistakes and prove yourself to us. What we need is a comrade in arms who can be trusted, not someone who is eager for quick success. Go to the kitchen squad and hone your skills. When you feel at ease, I will take you back." Qin Luo listened and suddenly felt warm in his heart. The company commander actually cared about him so much, and he was deeply moved by such sincerity. "Company commander." Qin Luo took a deep breath. "I will definitely become a good soldier and live up to your expectations." Walking out of the office, Qin Luo looked at the kitchen team in the distance, took a deep breath, and walked over there. However, as soon as he got downstairs, Qin Luo was stunned. The corridor was full of people. All the officers and soldiers of the second company had come. "Qin Luo, I'm Li Kong, the instructor of the second company." A captain came over with a smile. "I'm in the kitchen. Do your job well. We believe you'll be back soon. The whole company is waiting for you. Brother Luo, the new recruit Xiaodong shouted. You owe me instant noodles and sausages. Treat me when you come back. Don't try to renege on your debt. The second platoon leader patted Qin Luo on the shoulder and said, Don't worry. Once you enter the gate, you will be a soldier of the second company. Now that we have eaten your food, we are all brothers. There will always be a place for you in the second company. Qin Luo looked at everyone with emotion, and infinite pride surged in his heart. We will advance and retreat together and share honor and disgrace. I will definitely come back. Swish! All the veterans saluted in unison, and Qin Luo's eyes instantly moistened. He looked at everyone with gratitude and silently vowed in his heart, I must come back and win glory for the second company. Chang Lei smiled and accompanied Qin Luo to the door of the kitchen. Don't worry, there are many hidden talents in the kitchen. The company commander asked you to come here for a purpose. When you get there, you must be humble and don't cause trouble. Remember, get along well with your comrades. Qin Luo nodded, his eyes flashing with determination. Pushing open the kitchen door, Qin Luo just stepped in and was shocked. He was stunned. In the kitchen, 9 strong men over 1.9 meters tall stood in a row. Each of them wore a vest, revealing muscles like a bodybuilder. The whole kitchen was filled with a strong smell of hormones. Are you Qin Luo? An old soldier licked his lips and looked at him with a smile. Come here, let us check you out. Qin Luo swallowed hard, his heart pounding. Is this really the kitchen team? This style is totally wrong. He just stepped in and immediately shrank back in fear. Chapter 61, I'm sorry, I was careless. Lao Qin, thank you so much for donating the air conditioner this time. Deputy Commander Luo Zhonghai said with a smile. You don't know that in the summer, it was so hot that people couldn't sleep in the team. Now we finally have air conditioners. The soldiers are grateful to you. Qin Jiaqing laughed. Lao Luo, don't be polite to me. My little Luo is well off thanks to your good arrangement. My little help is nothing. Within a month, I will donate another 5,000 air conditioners to remote troops so that the soldiers can have a comfortable summer. Luo Zhonghai said excitedly. Lao Qin, you are so kind. I must treat you to a drink. Please don't complain that our wine is bad. The two laughed a few more times, and Qin Jiaqing suddenly asked, By the way, how's my little Luo doing recently? Luo Zhonghai smiled and said, Your son has performed very well. I transferred him to the patrol team. He has been impartial, fair and just, and has made contributions. Don't worry, I will keep a good eye on him. Qin Jiaqing smiled with satisfaction and said, Thank you, Lao Luo. By the way, I will donate some more things to the patrol team and improve their barracks. No, just rebuild them. Luo Zhonghai's face was full of smiles. This is great news. We thank you on behalf of the soldiers. After hanging up the phone, Luo Zhonghai sighed. This old Qin dotes on his son so much that he even sends his child to join the army. It's really pitiful how loving parents are. But what he didn't know was that Qin Luo had been taken to the reconnaissance camp by Wu Ziyuan. Qin Jiaqing lay in the rocking chair, drinking coffee proudly. I told you, Xiao Luo went to the patrol team and made a contribution. Now I can rest assured. At this moment, Qin Luo was standing at the door of the kitchen and suddenly heard a voice in his ear. What are you doing standing outside? Come in. Qin Luo's scalp tingled instantly. As soon as he stepped in, he saw 9 muscular men staring at him. They were all wearing only vests, revealing their explosive muscles. Qin Luo's heart tightened. Is this a gay den? You are Qin Luo, right? Captain Wu told me about you. A big man poked his head out from behind the chopping board. I'm Zhao Jiumei, the squad leader of the kitchen squad. Puff! Qin Luo almost spurted blood. Squad leader. What's your name? Zhao Jiumei frowned. I have 8 older sisters. My family was worried that I would be hard to support, so they gave me this name. Do you have a problem with that? Qin Luo's eyes widened. There are many hidden talents in the kitchen team. Not only are there many strong men, but even their names are so weird. Zhao Jiumei pointed at the people around her and introduced them. The bald guy is the deputy squad leader Qi Gang. Ma Shuai and Fan Yongjin are top chefs. Xiong Fei and Shang Tu are responsible for buying vegetables. Jiang Chaoda, Zhou Yong, and Zhao Chong are responsible for cutting vegetables and making noodles. Our kitchen squad is responsible for the meals for the entire battalion, and it's a heavy task. Qin Luo was dumbfounded. This is not an ordinary kitchen team. Zhao Jiumei stared at Qin Luo. Since you have joined the kitchen squad, you must do your job well. Don't think about the mess in the combat squad. You belong to us now. Qin Luo was so scared that he wanted to cover his anus. Why are these guys more weird than each other? Zhao Jumei continued. We won't use our veteran tactics to pressure you. But here, you're the youngest and you have to follow our instructions. Don't complain. Work hard. There are many hidden talents here. There's a lot for you to learn. Qin Luo nodded. His heart was in turmoil. He finally understood why everyone was so reluctant to see him off. The company commander and squad leader also specifically told him to integrate well. At this moment, several big men smiled and flirted, waving, Xiao Luo, come over here and help me with the work. Qin Luo's hair stood on end and his toes tensed. Should I let this go, or should I not let this go? Chapter 62. Actually, I am a woodcutter. Wu Ziyuan, what are you doing? Go Jin pushed the door open angrily and rushed into the office. Hello, battalion commander. Chang Lei and Xia Dong immediately stood up and saluted. Wu Ziyuan asked slowly, Battalion commander, what's wrong? Go Jin took a deep breath, waved his hand to let Chang Lei and Xia Dong leave, and then glared at Wu Ziyuan. I just told you to train Qin Luo well, and you sent him to the kitchen team right after. Do you have a fever in your head? Up to 50 degrees? Wu Ziyuan wiped the spit from his face calmly. Captain, I like good soldiers the most. Qin Luo is a good man, but he is too active. What we need is a comrade who can give his life to the other side, and he is not yet ready. Go Jin glared at Wu Ziyuan. Then teach him. I'm teaching him, Wu Ziyuan said with a smile. You also know Zhao Jumei's ability. No one in the whole division can make people feel more at ease than him. If Qin Luo can settle down in the kitchen squad, he will have a chance to become the soldier I want. Then I will personally bring him back. Go Jin finally nodded and compromised. Okay, but don't take too long. I don't want to waste a good seedling in the kitchen. I'll pay attention, Wu Ziyuan responded. At the same time, in the dormitory of the kitchen team, Qin Luo slept uneasily. The snoring of people around him was deafening, especially Zhao Jumei's snoring with a curve, which made him feel like he was in a devil's sound hell. Finally, he fell asleep in a daze, and in his dream, Zhao Jumei was hugging him from behind with her upper body naked, and 9 big men in red briefs were walking towards him with whips in their hands. No, Yamidi. Qin Luo woke up with a start and found Zhao Jumei and others surrounding the bed, staring at him hungrily. What are you yelling about? Get up and get to work, Zhao Jumei said as she led the way out. Qin Luo wiped the sweat off his face, touched his chest, and breathed a sigh of relief. Oh my God, I have to wear 5 pairs of underwear tomorrow night. In the kitchen, Zhao Jumei and the veterans were already busy. Qi Gang and Zhou Yong were cutting vegetables, Ma Shuai and Fan Yongjin were chopping meat with kitchen knives, and Jiang Chaoda was kneading dough. Qin Luo looked at them with admiration. These people really looked like martial arts masters. Qin Luo, light up the stove, Zhao Jumei ordered. Qin Luo took a match to light the fire, but forgot to turn on the gas. The flames suddenly appeared, and the big pot was blown away, scaring everyone to scream. Do you want to kill someone? Zhao Jumei glared at him. In the kitchen, safety comes first. Don't try to show off. Do you understand? Yes. Qin Luo nodded repeatedly and ran to help Jiang Chaoda knead the dough. Jiang Chaoda smiled and comforted him. Don't worry, it's the same when you first come here, just take your time. After a busy morning, Qin Luo felt sore in the waist and back, more tired than the combat squad training. He scratched his head. The mission is not yet completed. I have to leave here quickly and return to the combat squad. Qin Luo, come to the back. Zhao Jumei's voice sounded again. Qin Luo ran to the kitchen and saw the veterans training next to the water tower. Xiong Fei was doing a handstand with 2 fingers. Qi Gang was doing a bench press on Jiang Chaoda, and Zhao Jumei was carrying 2 people to do squats. What are you standing there for? Come here, Zhao Jumei shouted. The kitchen team also needs training. We can't miss breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Sergeant, your military qualities are all at the level of a soldier king, right? Qin Luo asked curiously. What's a soldier king? Zhao Jumei said calmly. We train to better serve the entire battalion. A good soldier is one who does his job well. Your training today will start with chopping wood. Chopping wood is also training? Qin Luo was stunned. Of course. Zhao Jumei pointed at the stove. We need firewood. You are responsible for chopping it. Qin Luo picked up the axe, looked at the wood in front of him, and took a deep breath. This job was a brand new challenge for him. The moment he raised the axe, a force seemed to awaken in his body. He swung the axe, and the wood broke with a sound. The speed and force were so fast that all the veterans stared wide-eyed. "You're good, kid. You're so skilled at it the first time," the veterans exclaimed. Qin Luo smiled and said, "Chopping wood seems to be quite interesting." Chapter 63. Is Qin Luo here to train our kitchen team? Next to the water tower, Qin Luo held an axe and chopped the firewood like flowing water. With each chop, the wood split precisely and stacked neatly like a work of art. Zhao Jiumei and the 9 veterans were stunned. In less than half an hour, Qin Luo had chopped 3 days' worth of firewood, his face full of smiles immersed in work. "This guy is really a freak," Qi Gang said in amazement. "The pieces of wood he chopped are all the same size, as if they were measured. Sergeant, if he continues to chop wood, who among us will have the nerve to chop wood?" The veterans cried for help. "Qin Luo, that's enough. Stop chopping," Zhao Jumei shouted. "I can still chop." Qin Luo laughed heartily, threw the wood up, and swung the axe in the air, splitting it into 6 pieces. The veterans jumped up in fear. "Stop chopping. That's enough. We need to save some work for tomorrow." Qin Luo stopped helplessly. "Okay, then I'll go peel the fruit." "Peeling fruit is also a form of exercise," Zhao Jumei said with a smile. "I'll leave it to you." Qin Luo immediately got to work, and his knife skills were so powerful that he carved a beautiful fruit plate. Watermelons became a mountain, apples became lotus pedestals, and oranges were placed in a lotus pond. The soldiers' eyes lit up and they exclaimed, "This is simply a work of art. I can't bear to eat it." The veterans in the kitchen looked at these works and were so ashamed that they couldn't raise their heads. "Squad leader, how can we face him? He can cut better than we can." Zhao Jumei was helpless. Okay. Let him chop meat and cut vegetables tomorrow." The next day, in the cafeteria, Go Jin looked at the plates of sleeping arhats carved out of tofu on the table and couldn't help clapping his hands in approval. "The kitchen team's idea is great. It adds color to our lives." Zhao Jiumei and the veterans were about to collapse in the kitchen. "Squad leader, how could you let him chop meat and cut vegetables? He carved tofu like a work of art. How can we survive?" "This kid is the reincarnation of New Oriental's chief culinary coach, right?" Jiang Chaoda complained. "The potato shreds he cuts are thinner than toothpicks." Qin Luo walked in with a smile. "Squad leader, can I learn how to cook today?" "No." The 9 veterans refused in unison. This was their bottom line. If Qin Luo continued to do this, they would really become a decoration. Zhao Jumei had a terrible headache. Looking at Qin Luo, who was full of expectation, she secretly regretted agreeing to Wu Ziyuan's request. Qin Luo was not here to exercise. He was clearly here to mess up the kitchen. "Hurry up and use the nunchaku. Hum hum ha hey." Wu Ziyuan was humming a little tune while taking a bath. Suddenly, Zhao Jumei's big hand patted him on the shoulder. Wu Ziyuan looked back and was frightened by Zhao Jumei's sturdy figure and majestic muscles. He slipped and almost fell. "What are you doing? Let me go!" Wu Ziyuan screamed in horror and punched Zhao Jumei's rock-hard chest with his little fists. Zhao Jumei put one hand around his waist and the other hand on his buttocks and lifted him up steadily. Wu Ziyuan's face changed drastically, and he roared in his heart, "What is this for? Is this to hone me or discipline me?" Chapter 64. I would rather die than exchange for Qin Luo. So nice. Wu Ziyuan wrapped himself in a towel and glared at Zhao Jumei. "Jumei, are you sick? Although the kitchen team is always called the gay team, I have never discriminated against you. But you can't do this to me." Zhao Jumei explained helplessly. "You almost fell. I was just trying to hold you up. Otherwise, you would have hit your head on the wall. Knock, knock. You suddenly appeared behind me and scared me to the point of falling." Wu Zuan was like a wronged young wife. "Why did you get so close to me? And you poked me with that thing. It's okay to help me, but how can you hug me like a princess? It's so embarrassing. Stop it." Zhao Jumei sighed. "Captain Wu, I beg you to get Qin Luo away." "What did he do?" Wu Ziyuan frowned. "Is he lazy or slacking off?" Zhao Jumei felt even more miserable. "He is too hardworking. He does everything beautifully, cutting vegetables, chopping meat, carving patterns. Everything is better than us. The muscles in our class are almost useless. Look at my biceps. They have shrunk a lot." Wu Ziyuan was startled, and looking at Zhao Jumei's helpless expression, he couldn't help but laugh out loud. "Qin Luo, this kid has really changed," Zhao Jumei said anxiously. "He is too energetic. You should quickly get him back to the combat squad." Wu Ziyuan nodded. Okay, bring him back in a few days. Zhao Jumei finally breathed a sigh of relief. Of course, keep your word. Qin Luo was busy in the kitchen, cutting fruit, chopping meat, carving vegetables, kneading noodles. He could do everything. Zhao Jumei looked at him, feeling helpless. If this continues, what else can we do? Qin Luo's knife skills and creativity caused a sensation in the entire battalion. The division headquarters even wanted to commend the kitchen team, and the military leaders were planning to come and visit. After hearing this news, the veterans who had originally wanted to drive Qin Luo away were reluctant to let him go. Sergeant, Qin Luo can't leave. He is the treasure of our kitchen squad. The old soldiers surrounded Zhao Jumei with a smile. Zhao Jumei smiled helplessly and said, well, since everyone is reluctant to let him go, let's keep him for a few more days. The next day, Qin Luo continued to be busy, cutting vegetables, carving patterns, and flipping the wok with ease. He held a large spatula and wielded it quickly, frying every piece of vegetable to perfection. Wu Ziyuan and Chang Lei were stunned as they watched from the side. Does this guy's family own a restaurant? Wu Ziyuan sighed. I didn't expect that he could get along well with the kitchen staff. Chang Lei nodded. Yes, it's not easy for Qin Luo to integrate so quickly. Wu Ziyuan smiled slightly, but I still have to test him. This kid is very cunning. He agreed to go with us, but when he left, he joined the special forces. Chang Lei smiled helplessly. Okay, you are stubborn. You have the final say. Qin Luo held a broom and swept the blood and pig hair into the sewer. Looking at the dirty clothes, he smiled. Who would have thought that the former eldest son of the Qin family would be so happy to work in the kitchen, slaughtering pigs and sweeping the floor? He found that the joy of working side by side with his comrades was more real than the days of spending money like water in the past. Pack up, make the most of your time to sleep, and make dumplings tomorrow morning. Zhao Jumei patted his shoulder and said, Qin Luo, you did a great job today, killing one pig with one knife. It's all thanks to the squad leader's good teaching. Qin Luo chuckled. Suddenly, a shrill whistle sounded, interrupting their conversation. Emergency assembly? What happened? Qin Luo's eyes suddenly widened, his face full of confusion. Chapter 65, Do you know how hot you are? It was drizzling. Qin Luo and the veteran stood neatly in front of the cafeteria, watching the movements of the combat squad in the distance. It's moving, Qi Gang pointed forward. It means we need to move out in full force. That looks like the division commander's car. Ma Shuai asked doubtfully. It's such a big deal. Even the division commander is here. What is going on? Fan Yongjin was puzzled. I heard that it will be a drill, like a real-life CS match. Qin Luo guessed. The veterans laughed and said, how can we just sit here, doing nothing during a drill? This is definitely not a drill. Qin Luo scratched his head, but he felt the urge to go with the second company. Although he had not been in the kitchen for a long time, this period of time had quietly changed him. He clenched his fists silently. There will always be a chance to go back. Now just do your job well. The squad leader is back. The old soldiers excitedly surrounded him, and Zhao Jumei hurried over. The situation is urgent. A sudden rainstorm in Weiqing caused flooding. Our entire battalion set out urgently. Our mission is to ensure that every soldier and disaster victim has enough to eat and to participate in disaster relief if necessary. Zhao Jumei announced solemnly. Qin Luo felt his heart tighten when he heard the word flood and felt the severity of the mission. He and other veterans shouted together, use me in the first battle, and I will win. Following Zhao Jumei's order, the entire kitchen team immediately ran towards the military truck and prepared to set off. On a rainy night, military trucks sped past. Qi Xingli picked up the intercom in the car and heard Go Jian's voice. Report to the division commander. The Reconnaissance battalion is all moving out and following the main force. Okay, Qi Xingli said coldly. The situation is urgent. The Reconnaissance battalion will launch the first attack. We must show our momentum. Yes, we will never retreat until the flood recedes. Go Jian responded in a low roar. Gao Kun asked worriedly, Commander, are all members of the Reconnaissance battalion going out, including Qin Luo? Have you forgotten that Qin Luo's father is Qin Jiaqing? He donates money and materials to the army every year, and this time he is going to repair the barracks. That's enough. Qi Xingli interrupted sternly. I don't care whose son he is, as long as he wears this military uniform. He is a soldier. In times of crisis, even if he is Qin Jiaqing's son, he has to rush forward. Gao Kun nodded helplessly. But if something goes wrong, what about Director Qin? Qi Xingli said in a deep voice. Qin Jiaqing is a patriotic entrepreneur. He knows what the army does. Since you have sent your son here, you must be mentally prepared. We are all soldiers and have no special status. Gao Kun took a deep breath and said, Yes, Commander. Qi Xingli clenched his fists. Although he had promised to take care of Qin Jiaqing's son, he could not give him special treatment in the face of his duty. The mission of a soldier is to protect the country and the people, and he is fearless even in the face of danger. Looking at the rain outside the car window, Qi Xingli sighed in a low voice. Mr. Qin, I'm sorry. Chapter 66, do you want to call the Jade Emperor? Squeak. The SUV braked suddenly and almost hit the car in front. Qi Xingli and Gao Kun's heads hit the front seat hard, making them grimace in pain. What's going on? Qi Xingli roared. We are going to rescue the disaster now. Who told us to stop? The driver also covered his head and said, reporting to the commander, all the cars in front of me stopped, so I braked suddenly. Gao Kun leaned forward to take a look, then retracted his head and said, Commander, all the cars ahead have stopped. Qi Xingli jumped out of the car, stood on the side of the road, and looked around. Sure enough, the entire road was blocked. What happened? Qi Xingli asked anxiously. There's a landslide ahead, and the mud and rock flow has blocked the road. Now, there's only one small path that can only pass one car. Both the B and C divisions have arrived, and everyone is rushing to get through first, Gao Kun explained. Qi Xingli frowned. Send the guard company to control the intersection. We will go first. Commander, this will lead to a conflict. Gao Kun tried to dissuade him helplessly. Everyone is rushing to help with disaster relief. Now is not the time to argue. Qi Xingli clenched his fists, knowing what Gao Kun meant. Their divisions refused to give in, but the people in the disaster area were waiting for rescue. He decided to lead the Reconnaissance battalion to explore the way first, but was stopped by a dark shadow. Qin Luo, why are you running around? Qi Xingli shouted angrily. Qin Luo smiled and said, Commander, I have a way to solve this problem. Give me a phone call, and I'll call my dad's friend, and it will be done. Can it be done with just a phone call? Qi Xingli looked suspicious. Are you calling the Jade Emperor or the Buddha? On the other side, the commanders of the B and C divisions, Yanjun and Deng Wenguang, were also blocked and helpless. This division must be trying to get through first again, Deng Wenguang said angrily. They always take the lead in every battle. We can't let them go this time. Let's be fair and just. We'll pass one regiment at a time and let Division A pass last. Yanjun nodded. Just as they were preparing to clear the road, shouts suddenly came from afar. A dozen pickets wearing white hats came running in the rain, looking aggressive. Patrol team? The two division commanders looked at each other. Why are they here? Yuan Hong ran up to them and saluted. Two commanders, there's a landslide here, and the vehicles of 3 divisions are blocked. Let's clear the road and ensure that everyone can get to the disaster area quickly. Yan Jun and Deng Wenguang smiled at each other. The patrol brigade had jurisdiction over the entire army, and even the division commander had to obey their orders. Come on, move the car back a little and make way for Division A. Yuan Hong commanded loudly. What? Yan Jun and Deng Wenguang were shocked. The patrol team actually let Division A pass first? Their eyes widened in disbelief. They hadn't expected that after all the scramble, the honor of the first battle would still fall into the hands of Division A. The two of them smiled helplessly, lamenting that this time they had worked in vain. Chapter 67, Attack and Win. Qin Luo and his troops gathered urgently. In front of them was a vast expanse of water. The original town had become an underwater ruin, and the rushing flood swallowed up the streets and houses. The treetops and roofs were full of people waiting for rescue. They waved their hands anxiously and called for help, and their voices covered the roaring sound of the water. This is the flood. Qin Luo's throat tightened. It was the first time he faced such a tragic natural disaster. His comrades around him were also confused and had complicated eyes. These young soldiers, who were 18 or 19 years old, were well trained at ordinary times, but they seemed so insignificant at this moment. However, the military order was as strong as a mountain, and they had no time to be afraid. Go! Qi Gang shouted, and Qin Luo suddenly woke up and followed the main force. After the assembly, Qi Xingli stood on the slope, holding a loudspeaker. Comrades, you have seen that the flood has swallowed up the people's homes. We are the people's soldiers and their only hope. His voice echoed in the wind and rain with unshakable determination. We raise troops for 1,000 days and deploy them for a moment. Today, we are the people's strongest backing. Whether it is war or natural disasters, we must be at the forefront. Qin Luo felt an unprecedented shock and sense of mission, and the blood in his body seemed to boil. He clenched his fists and shouted from the bottom of his heart with his comrades around him. Use me in the first battle, and I will win. Never retreat. The roar of the troops shook the earth. Qin Luo looked up at Qi Xingli and felt an immense sense of pride and responsibility. He understood that as a soldier, this was not only a duty, but also a belief. Go into the water and save people immediately. Qi Xingli shouted and gave the order. Qin Luo and his comrades acted quickly, carrying rescue equipment and resolutely jumping into the cold flood. They had no way to retreat, only to move forward. Facing the rain and wind and waves, their figures cut through the waves in the water. Every attack is a race against time. Every response is a commitment to life. Qin Luo struggled forward in the water, with only those waiting figures in his eyes. He is no longer the confused, rich young master, but a real soldier of the people. The rain kept falling and the water was still roaring, but these young soldiers were as strong as steel and unyielding. Qin Luo silently vowed in his heart. No matter how fierce the flood was, he would bring all the people back without leaving any behind. This battle was a duel between Qin Luo and the flood, and also a dialogue between him and fate. Wearing this military uniform, he was no longer ordinary. The flood submerged everything, but it could not submerge their fighting spirit and determination. Qin Luo's eyes were firm, and he continued to rush forward, because he knew that as a soldier, his duty was to not fear any wind and rain. Chapter 68, Captain, I'm back. The rain continued, and the flood was raging. Qin Luo was busy on the shore, delivering hot steamed buns to every exhausted comrade. The newly rescued victims crowded on the hillside, some silently crying, and some looking at their flooded homes and crying. Qin Luo looked at all this with mixed feelings. Hurry up, give these buns to the disaster victims, Zhao Jumei urged. Qin Luo came to his senses, picked up the buns in the bucket, and ran to the front line to distribute them to the soldiers. But the soldiers carrying sandbags had no time to stop and eat a bite, and their tired figures did not stop for a moment. Eat something to replenish your energy, Qin Luo shouted at the top of his lungs, but all he got was no, we don't have time. He turned and ran toward the rest area, where he saw the fallen soldiers holding their steamed buns tightly, but none of them were willing to take a bite. Qin Luo stood in the rain, looking at their sleeping faces, and for the first time felt the weight of the word soldier. Suddenly, an angry roar resounded through the rain. Let me go. I want to go. Division Commander Qi Xingli shook off Gao Kun, who was pulling him. I said, I will fight here with my soldiers. I will not retreat until the flood recedes. Qi Xingli took off his coat and prepared to jump into the rushing water, but he suddenly saw a figure running past and jumping straight into the water. Qin Luo. Qi Xingli was stunned. Qin Luo had already rushed to the front line of the human wall, gritting his teeth to withstand the oncoming flood. Company commander, squad leader, Qin Luo shouted to Wu Ziyuan and Zhao Jumei. I'm back. Wu Ziyuan looked at Qin Luo, as if he saw the rookie king who dared to challenge everything, and smiled proudly. I'm glad you're back. At this moment, Zhao Jumei and his cooking team also jumped into the water. Their big bodies stood firmly in front of the second company like a barrier. Laozi, you are here? How can we not come? Zhao Jumei patted Qin Luo's shoulder and said with a smile, Our cooking team is a whole. We will shoulder it together if there is any problem. Cooking squad, hold on, Zhao Jumei shouted, and everyone screamed and straightened their chests. Qi Xingli watched this scene and couldn't hold back his tears any longer. These bastards, my soldiers. He wiped the rain and tears from his face incoherently. The rain has not stopped. The flood has not stopped. But in Qi Xingli's sight, the soldiers in military uniforms stand firm like a rock. They are walls, shields, and hope. No matter how ruthless the natural disasters are, the flesh and blood of these soldiers can always let all the desperate people see the light. Chapter 69, Comrades, Brothers. Qin Jiaqing put down his wine glass, looked at the raging flood in the news, and couldn't help sighing. These ordinary people have suffered. I hope everything is safe. At this moment, his eyes suddenly widened. The wine glass slammed to the ground, and his fingers trembled as he pointed at the TV. That's Xiao Luo. He's in the water." Before he finished speaking, Qin Jiaqing's eyes went dark. He lost his balance and fell heavily. The flood roared, and debris violently hit Qin Luo and others. They gritted their teeth and persisted, their faces covered with bruises. Qin Luo endured the pain, and those grateful faces and excited handshakes emerged in his mind. He made up his mind and shouted, "I will be in the first battle. We will win." Everyone shouted in unison, holding each other tightly. Qi Xingli looked at the soldiers in the water, tears mixed with raindrops falling. At this moment, more soldiers jumped down from a height and joined this human wall made of flesh and blood. "Hold on a little longer," Zhao Jumei yelled. Suddenly, a thick piece of wood came flying towards Qin Luo. Qin Luo caught it, but his feet slipped, and he was almost swept away by the flood. Qi Xingli on the shore roared, "Get the rope. Form a death squad. Who will follow me?" "Me." Everyone raised their hands. "We can't let the flood rush over." Qi Xingli's eyes were red, and he waved his hand into the water. "Jump." Figures fell into the water one after another. Qin Luo saw Cheng Haonan and others also jumped into the flood. He smiled and waved at him. "Brother Luo, we are here." Qi Xingli shouted at the top of his lungs. "Hold on a little longer. The car company will be here soon." However, the flood was too fast, and the sandbags were almost ineffective. Qin Luo's vision was blurred, and his legs felt like they were filled with lead, but the belief in his heart drove him. "We can't retreat." Zhao Jiumei gritted her teeth and said, "There is no unfinished task in the kitchen team." Everyone shouted together, "Hold on." The flood hit them, and the soldiers used their bodies to build a barrier, supporting each other without fear of pain. Even if the torrent washed them, they remained motionless. Qin Luo silently said in his heart, "As long as there are comrades, no matter how difficult the road ahead is, we must hold on." At this time, Qi Xingli rushed down from the shore and stood in the flood with the soldiers. His face was full of tears, but he shouted loudly, "We are the people's soldiers. With us here, the flood will not pass." Qin Luo looked back at the old general, his heart stirring. He finally understood that this was the meaning of what he was fighting for. The flood was overwhelming, but they still stood firm, because they were soldiers and the most solid guardians of this land. Chapter 70, United as One, United We Stand. In the rushing flood, one figure after another jumped in. The force of the flood was so great that many people were knocked over as soon as they jumped in. If they had not been in a chain, they would have been washed away long ago. "Hold hands and form a line," Wu Ziyuan shouted. "Those in the back hold the front, and those who continue to come down hold them back." More people jumped in without hesitation, and the two human walls blocked the gap in the flood. The soldiers of Division B took the opportunity to throw sandbags into the water one by one. But even after throwing hundreds of sandbags, the gap still could not be blocked. "B Division, all of you go down. We can't just let the brothers of a division bear the brunt of it." Yan Jun roared and led his men into the flood. 3 human walls were finally formed, firmly resisting the impact from the front. However, the flood was still fierce, and the waves kept hitting their bodies. The approaching flood peak was like a sharp sword, hanging over their heads. Qi Xingli was so anxious that he was running around in circles. The sandbags were not enough to effectively block the gap. He anxiously looked for Gao Kun. "Gao Kun, drive the car over here." At this moment, a dazzling headlight broke the darkness, and a civilian off-road vehicle rushed over. "Comrade, I heard that we need a car to plug the gap. The military vehicles are loading sand and have no time. My car can go first." A middle-aged man stuck his head out with a firm look in his eyes. "This is to protect our homeland." Before Qi Xingli could agree, more car lights lit up in the back, and private cars drove in one after another in a long line. The car owners stuck their heads out, their eyes revealing an extremely firm look. "The PLA comrades can't stand it anymore. Let us do it." Qi Xingli watched this scene with red eyes. He waved his hand to signal the soldiers to register the vehicle information and led the car owners to get out of the car. One by one, the vehicles plunged into the flood, replacing the soldiers as a new barrier. The momentum of the flood was obviously weakened. Qin Luo watched all this, and his heart was surging. The army and the people are united. Nothing can defeat us. While he was still in shock, a group of ghost fire electric motorcycles fell from the sky and smashed into the gaps between the cars, filling the gaps. Qin Luo was surprised to see a group of young people wearing tight pants and dyed, colorful hair standing on the shore. the shaman. There was reluctance in their eyes, but more of fearlessness. Those young people who were once misunderstood by society now threw their only belongings into the flood without hesitation to protect their homes. Look, Zheng Qian shouted. More shamat mixed with uncles and aunts, desperately passing sandbags, their thin bodies fighting against the raging flood, but their eyes were still firm. Everyone says this generation of young people is useless. But who has ever seen them get scared at a critical moment? Zhao Jume laughed. These guys can still do it. Seeing these usually cheerful young people now risking their lives, Qin Luo felt full of strength. He shouted, "Everyone hold on. We can't let the villagers laugh at us." Okay, everyone responded in unison, as if they had been re-injected with strength and held off the flood with all their might. At this moment, there are the tall figures standing on the shoulders of the people. No matter how big the flood is, it cannot be greater than the power of unity. Chapter 71. Funeral Family, Show Your Talent. The sky gradually brightened, and the rainstorm gradually stopped. Qin Luo lay on the shore, looking up exhaustedly at the gap that had been successfully blocked. He panted, looking at the flood blocking the gap, and heaved a sigh of relief. Please don't let another wave come. My body is almost soaked. He complained to the system in a low voice, blaming his superpowers for being useless in the face of this natural disaster, especially his own genetic enhancement ability, which was really stretched to the limit. Hey, are you dead? Qi Gang's voice interrupted his thoughts. Qin Luo forced a smile. I'm still alive, but I feel like my bones are falling apart. Qi Gang grinned and said, Can you still cook? Qin Luo's eyes widened. I tried my best to save the disaster, and I almost lost my life, and now I still have to cook? Are you kidding me? But before he could finish his words, Qin Luo was carried up by Qi Gang like a chicken and walked towards the kitchen team. Let's go. We in the kitchen team never slack off. After 3 days of hard work, the floods finally receded, and the town gradually returned to its original appearance. All the troops quickly gathered and prepared to leave the disaster area. Qin Luo asked Zhao Jume excitedly while sitting in the car. Squad leader, this time we worked so hard to plug the gap, can we get merit? Zhao Jume smiled and said, Of course, you did a good job. You won the 3rd-class merit. Qin Luo was about to cheer, but found that all the veterans in the car were staring at him with gloomy faces. So he quickly changed his words. Let the credit go to the old comrades. Everyone has worked hard. As soon as he finished speaking, Qi Gang slapped him on the shoulder. Come on. We are embarrassed to take it if you don't want it. Suddenly, deafening firecrackers sounded outside the car. Qin Luo looked out and saw that the roadside was full of people beating drums and gongs, holding banners to see off the troops. The people rushed to throw supplies into the car, including instant noodles, chickens, ducks, bacon, pig heads, and even a pile of kidneys. Qin Luo and his comrades were busy sending things out, but they couldn't stop the enthusiasm of the people. Bang! A pig's head hit him directly in the face. Qin Luo smiled bitterly while returning the things, feeling the sincere emotions of the people. He looked at his military uniform and suddenly understood the meaning of being a soldier. It was not only a responsibility, but also an honor. As the convoy continued to move forward, Qin Luo looked at a group of young people in the distance. Those trendseekers with colorful hair and strange clothes were playing dynamic music and dancing in a dazzling manner. Qin Luo couldn't help but laugh. These young people, who were considered non-mainstream by outsiders, dedicated themselves to the flood without hesitation. This generation may love to play and make trouble, but they always have a passion and responsibility in their hearts. Qin Luo leaned against the truck and closed his eyes. He knew that this experience had brought about a huge change in his heart. He, who was once confused, finally understood the weight of the military uniform on his shoulders and what a fearless military spirit was. It was time to go back.